Nipo na nyinyi, lakini kwa sasa tunadunda moja kwa moja katika masuala ya habari, na ambapo Rais William Ruto hii leo amekariri hakikisho lake la ushindi mkubwa kwenye uchaguzi mkuu ujao katika mkutano wa pamoja na viongozi wa kisiasa na chama cha ODM Kenya Kwanza. Pamoja na Rais William Ruto pia amewataka viongozi serikalini jumuishi kuelezea miradi ya serikali kwa Wakenya. Mwandishi wetu Willy Dennis Njiru yuko kule na ametuandalia taarifa ifuatayo, lakini inaelezewa kuwa hiyo taarifa itakuwa ikikuja baadaye, manake inaendelea kupikwa. Lakini viongozi wa Linda Mwananchi wamejitokeza na kutoa wito kwa Inspector General wa polisi nchini Douglas Kanja kuchukua hatua kwa viongozi kutoka eneo la Nyanza ambao wanatishia ziara ya muungano huo wikendi ijayo katika kaunti ya Homa Bay. Wakizungumza wakiwa eneo bunge la Bumula, viongozi hao wamesema hatua kali zinafaa kuchukuliwa dhidi ya mbunge Peter Kaluma ambaye ni wa Homa Bay mjini, kusema kuwa watavuruga mkutano huo. Aidha, wameshikilia msimamo kuwa wataendelea na mpango wa mkutano huo, huku wakiwarai viongozi kuheshimu uhuru wa kuandaa mikutano popote nchini humo.
Kila mtu wako na uhuru wa kwenda mahali popote. The same way we are allowing William Ruto to do meetings hapa na yeye atoke hapa. Kaluma can come and do a meeting here. Constitutionally, we allow him.
In the same breath, I want to tell the people of Homa Bay that we are going to have a rally in Homa Bay on 16th. This issue we are hearing of divisions and warnings from elected leaders in Homa Bay that Linda Mwananchi cannot have a rally in Homa Bay. Please, we are coming for that rally. We want the IG to ensure that peace is everywhere in this country. There is no part of this country that is not governable.
Na kinara wa DCP Rigathi Gachagua ametangaza kuwa kampeni ya kumtoa Rais William Ruto mamlakani imeanza rasmi. Katika ziara ya viongozi wa upinzani katika kaunti ya Narok, Gachagua pia alipigia debe chama cha DCP kaunti hiyo. Hii ni baada ya wakilishi wadi 9 kutoka Narok kujiunga na chama hicho.
Leo ni tarehe 10 mwezi wa 8. Mwaka ujao siku kama leo tarehe 10 mwezi wa 8 tutaamuka mapema tupeleke Kasongo nyumbani. Harambee! Safari ya kufukuza Kasongo hadi nyumbani imeanza hapa Narok East, ambaye ni mwaka moja kuanzia leo ndio tutapeleka Kasongo nyumbani, ambaye amehangaisha Wakenya na amehangaisha jamii ya Wamasai.
Tukisalia katika masuala ya siasa ni kwamba siku ya leo kama mwaka ujao Wakenya watapiga foleni kupiga kura katika uchaguzi mkuu wa Agosti tarehe 10 mwaka 2027, uchaguzi ambao Wakenya wataamua iwapo watamuingiza tena Rais William Ruto katika awamu ya pili madarakani au kumfanya Rais William Ruto kuwa wa kwanza kuhudumu muhula mmoja. Na vilevile ubabe katika upinzani, serikali jumuishi na Rais William Ruto, haya yameanza rasmi, huku lengo kuu likiwa ni wapiga kura wapya milioni 2.3 waliosajiliwa na Tume Huru ya Uchaguzi na Uratibu wa Mipaka nchini IEBC mwezi Aprili mwaka huu. Mwanahabari wetu wa masuala ya siasa Apollo Kamau amelizamia swala hili na kutuandalia taarifa ifuatayo.
Uchaguzi mkuu mwaka ujao wa 2027 ambao umesalia mwaka mmoja pekee utakuwa wa aina yake. Utakuwa uchaguzi wa kwanza kupima iwapo maandamano ya Gen Z ya mwaka 2024 yaliyopelekea kuundwa kwa serikali jumuishi yatageuka kuwa kura halisi, huku yakiashiria mabadiliko kutoka kwa uaminifu wa kikabila uliokuwa ukitawala siasa za Kenya. Pia utakuwa uchaguzi wa kwanza bila kuwa na kiongozi wa chama cha ODM, marehemu Raila Odinga, ambaye kutokuwepo kwake kumeacha mwanya wa uongozi na fursa kwa upinzani pamoja na Rais William Ruto kunufaika na ngome yake ya kisiasa.
Ati wanatutisha, wanasema iko numbers. Vijana wa hapa, even you register as voters. Mujiandikishe, chukua ID, enda kujiandikisha mara moja. Tunataka idadi kubwa. Tunataka ile nimesema petition free. We don't want a petition. Petition inaleta uhasama.
Uibukaji wa kundi la Linda Mwananchi umevuruga hisabati za kisiasa za mwaka 2027 kwa Rais Ruto na upinzani, si tu katika ngome za kawaida za Odinga bali kote nchini.
Wanasema hapa ni ngome ya Ruto. Ni uongo. Nikisema harambee, sema one time. Harambee! Harambee!
Chaguo la Rais Ruto la mgombea mwenza pia litakuwa muhimu kuamua kuwa atafaidika au la kutokana na mvutano mkali wa nafasi hiyo ndani ya ODM na onyo kutoka kwa washirika wa naibu rais Kithure Kindiki kutoka eneo la Mlima Kenya.
Particularly number 2, don't you think I deserve to be number 2? Because that is what our concern. Can I not be number 2?
Hakuna siasa itatushinda, usibabaishwe na mambo kidogo ambayo mnasikia hapa na pale. Ni vile sisi tunajua kuna majira, kuna time ya siasa, kuna time ya kazi.
Uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027 pia utashuhudia mara ya kwanza Rais Ruto akiendesha kampeni bila kuwa na nguvu imara za msaada kutoka eneo la Mlima Kenya ambalo lilimpa takriban kura milioni 3.5 katika uchaguzi wa urais wa mwaka 2022. Tangu wakati huo, eneo hilo limebadili mwelekeo wake wa kisiasa na kuelekea kwa naibu wake wa zamani Rigathi Gachagua pamoja na upinzani.
It is finished. It is over, Mr. President. For the avoidance of doubt, this by-election marks the death of UDA in this region. William Ruto knows it, and we are aware he is already scheming. He intends to introduce different colored wheelbarrows to accommodate his allies.
Chaguo la mgombea mmoja wa urais kutoka kwa muungano wa upinzani na Linda Mwananchi pia litakuwa na jukumu kubwa katika kuamua ni nani atakayepata kura nyingi. Rais Ruto aliyeibuka mshindi katika uchaguzi wa mwaka 2022 kwa tofauti ndogo ya takriban kura 200,000 baada ya kupata kura milioni 7.1 dhidi ya kura milioni 6.9 za Odinga, amezidisha kampeni zake katika ngome za Odinga za Luo, Nyanza, Nairobi, Pwani na Kaskazini Mashariki. Rais pia anategemea ngome yake ya Bonde la Ufa ambapo alipata kura milioni 2.5 katika uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2022 kumlisha nguvu za kumwezesha kurejea madarakani kwa muda wa pili. Rais pia amezidisha kampeni katika kaskazini mashariki ambapo serikali inaongoza zoezi kubwa la uandikishaji wa wapiga kura.
You might not like us. Wewe ukitaka chukia sisi, lakini sisi tuko na William Ruto.
Eneo la Mlima Kenya, magharibi ya Kenya, Luo Nyanza, Nairobi, miji mingine ya kibiashara pamoja na jamii zilizotengwa bado ni maeneo muhimu yenye nguvu ya kuamua matokeo ya uchaguzi. Katika awamu ya kwanza ya zoezi la kuongeza idadi ya wapiga kura linaloendelea kufanywa na IEBC lililokamilika mwezi Aprili mwaka huu, tume iliandikisha wapiga kura wapya milioni 2.3. Idadi kubwa ya wapiga kura hao wapya ilipatikana katika kaunti za Nairobi, Kiambu, Nakuru, Kakamega, Machakos, Bungoma, Meru, Kilifi, Kisii na Uasin Gishu.
Tukasema
uchunguzi wa maoni ya Infotrack uliofanyika mwezi Aprili ulionyesha kuwa iwapo uchaguzi ungefanyika kwa sasa, hakuna mmoja kati ya wagombea wakuu wa urais angefikia kiwango cha 50% kuongezwa kura moja. Maana yake nchi ingeenda kwenye raundi ya pili kuamua mshindi. Rais Ruto alipata 32%, akifuatiwa na kiongozi wa chama cha Wiper Kalonzo Musyoka aliyepata 13%. Seneta wa Nairobi Edwin Sifuna na mgombea wa Jubilee Fred Matiang'i walifungana nafasi ya 3 kwa 12%, huku Gachagua akipata 4%. Rais William Ruto pamoja na makundi ya upinzani wanategemea miungano ya kisiasa kushinda mtihani wa idadi ya kura, huku moja wa kila kundi ukiwa karibu kupimwa katika uchaguzi huo. Apollo Kamau, TV47.
Kazi safi, Apollo Kamau. Na leo muungano wa wabunge wa Kenya Kwanza pamoja na wale wa ODM walifanya kikao kule Naivasha, na ambapo mwanahabari wetu Mike Kagongo amekuwa katika mkutano huo, na sasa tunajumuika naye moja kwa moja kutujuza yale ambayo yamejiri katika mkutano huo. Mike Kagongo, mchana niliona wabunge wale wa UDA wakiwa na mengi
mji huu wa Naivasha, na kama ulivyodokeza ni kwamba shughuli hino nzima ishafanyika hapa tangia asubuhi, wakati ambapo Rais William Ruto alifungua kikao hiki hapa katika mgahawa huu kufanikisha shughuli hii na kuhakikisha kwamba wote wanaoshikilia serikali ya Kenya Kwanza wa chama cha UDA na kile cha ODM bila shaka wanatangamana na kufanya mkutano wa pamoja katika juhudi tu za kufanikisha malengo yao ya uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027 na vile kuhakikisha kwamba Rais William Ruto anatimiza zile ahadi na ambazo amefanya kuwa ahidia wa Kenya kunako mwaka 2022, wakati ambapo wameingia uongozini mwaka 2023. Kukawa basi kuna zile maazimio ambayo bila shaka wale wadau wa chama cha ODM, the 10 points agenda, waliotaka basi serikali iweze kutimiza, na hayo ni mojawapo ya yale ambayo umefanya kuyazungumzia. Rais William Ruto amesema hapa jioni hino kwamba wametengeza kikosi cha watu 5 kutoka katika kila upande, chama cha ODM na vile chama cha UDA, watu 5 ambao wanatengeza kamati ambayo itakuwa bila shaka inaangazia masuala haya yote katika mustakabali wa kuhakikisha kwamba haya yote yanafanya kufanikishwa. Vile Rais William Ruto amesema ya kwamba wale ambao wanashindana nao, nazungumza kuhusu upinzani, hawatakuwa na lolote la kufanikisha wakati ambapo uchaguzi unatekelezwa takriban miezi 12 ijayo kuanzia hii leo. Manake yeye kwa ushirikiano na chama cha ODM atakuwa basi anafanya kuibuka mshindi wa mapema. Leo hii katika kikao hichi kumekwepo na wabunge takriban 348. Vile kumekwepo na maseneta takriban 48, lakini wabunge wamekuwa 312, halafu maseneta wamekuwa 48, huku magavana basi wakisemekana kuwa jumla ya 23. Ndio kikosi kizima hicho ambacho kitakuwa kinafanya kumsaidia Rais William Ruto katika juhudi za kufanikisha kazi hii aliyofanya kuahidi wa Kenya. Lakini la mno zaidi kabla ya kuzama ni kwamba leo hii hapa katika kikao hichi cha leo kulikwepo basi na tetesi kwamba baada ya wanahabari kuweza kuondoka kule ndani, gavana wa Kisii Simba Arati aliweza kudokeza kwamba chama cha ODM kingependa kwa njia moja au nyingine kiweza kupokezwa nafasi ya kuwa naibu rais mwaka 2027, lakini hilo halikuwaketia vizuri wale ambao ni wabunge wa chama cha UDA. Baadhi yao wakaweza kuondoka huko nje na wakaweza kusema ya kwamba basi iwapo watanyang'anywa hicho kiti cha naibu rais kunako mwaka 2027, basi itakuwa ni tatizo kwa sana wao kuweza kumuunga mkono Rais William Ruto katika uchaguzi ambao unafanya kukuja. Hayo ni kwa sasa. Tukizama baadaye saa 3 usiku tutafanya kuibuka na tuweze kukufahamisha mengi zaidi kuhusiana na mtafaruku huu wa ndani ya chama cha ODM. La ziada halipo kwa sasa. Nazama, naitwa Mike Kagongo, kwako studio.
Asante sana Mike Kagongo, na bila shaka baadaye tutakuwa tukisikia mengi kutoka kwako. Vinara wa upinzani wakiongozwa na Kalonzo Musyoka wamekutana na muungano wa makasisi wa Kenya mjini Kitui na kutaka tume huru ya uchaguzi na uratibu wa mipaka nchini IEBC kuhakikisha uchaguzi mkuu mwaka ujao unakuwa wa haki na pia huru na kuaminika humu nchini. Kwenye ibada hiyo katika ukumbi wa Kefri, Kalonzo, Eugene Wamalwa na Justin Muturi wamesisitiza kuwa muungano wa upinzani utalinda katiba na utawala wa sheria. Wanamlima Wamalwa amesema tarehe ya uchaguzi lazima hiheshimiwe na watafichua mgombea wao wa rais hivi karibuni. Muturi na yeye vile ameahidi kuwa wataziba mianya ambayo ipo na ambayo inaweza kuleta mgawanyiko katika muungano wa upinzani.
This IEBC is the constitutional overseer of the election before us, and it must conduct itself as one worthy of that trust, independent in fact, transparent in practice, and accountable to no authority but the Kenyan people themselves. Any hand that reaches to compromise that independence reaches in truth for the throat of the Republic. We say to IEBC Chairman, Erastus and Dom Ethicon and your commission, guarantee this election free and fair.
Na washukiwa watatu wanaohusishwa na mauaji ya Daktari Victoria Mutiso wataendelea kuzuiliwa na maafisa wa polisi kwa siku 30, huku wapelelezi wakiendelea na uchunguzi kuhusu mauaji hayo yaliyotikisa taifa. Afisa wa polisi, dereva wa Prado na mwendesha bodaboda wanadaiwa kutekeleza mauaji tofauti katika mauaji ya aliyekuwa mkurugenzi wa taasisi ya Afrika ya afya ya akili na ubongo.
Idara ya upelelezi DCI imeshawishi mahakama kuwa kuwazuilia washukiwa hao watatu, Elijah Kibelion Kimoi, Daniel Njoroge na Kevin Kinuthia, ni muhimu ili kukamilisha uchunguzi.
The application has given indications that the investigations are ongoing, that some witnesses are yet to record their statements. Experts are being subjected to forensic examination.
Wapelelezi wanadai kuwa Daniel Njoroge alikuwa akiendesha gari aina ya Toyota Prado ambalo linadaiwa kulizuia gari la teksi aina ya Toyota Passo alilokuwa akisafiria Daktari Mutiso kabla ya kupigwa risasi. DCI pia inadai kuwa Kevin Kinuthia alitumia pikipiki kumsafirisha afisa huyo wa polisi kwenda na kutoka eneo la tukio. Daktari Mutiso alipigwa risasi na kuuawa tarehe 29 Julai mwaka 2026 katika eneo la Upper Hill, Nairobi, akiwa ndani ya gari hilo.
I note that one of the suspects is a serving police officer I am persuaded that if respondents are released on bond bail, there is high likelihood that they will interfere with investigations.
Kulingana na wachunguzi, uchunguzi wa awali ulihusisha risasi zilizopatikana na bunduki inayodaiwa kuwa chini ya afisa mkuu wa polisi ambaye kwa sasa hajulikani alipo. DCI imesema miongoni mwa sababu zinazochunguzwa ni mzozo wa ardhi unaomhusisha Daktari Mutiso. Mahakama pia iliarifiwa kuwa Daktari Mutiso alikuwa ameripoti awali jaribio la kushambuliwa dhidi yake. Kwa mujibu wa DCI, tarehe 7 Julai mwaka 2026 aliripoti kukabiliwa na wanaume wawili waliokuwa na silaha wakiwa kwenye pikipiki karibu na jengo la biashara Junction katika barabara ya Ngong. Wapelelezi wanadai kuwa mmoja wa washukiwa katika kesi ya sasa alikuwa miongoni mwa watu waliohusika katika tukio hilo la awali.
They will be detained as follows. First respondent, he will be detained at Ruaraka police station. Second respondent, you will be detained at Pangani police station. The third respondent, you will be detained at Kigiri police station.
Baadhi ya maeneo yanayochunguzwa ni pamoja na uchanganuzi wa video za kamera za usalama, uchunguzi wa rekodi za mawasiliano ya simu, uchunguzi wa magari na pikipiki kwa njia ya kisayansi, kupatikana kwa silaha zaidi, pamoja na kurekodi taarifa za mashahidi zaidi. Kesi hiyo itatajwa tena tarehe 10 Septemba kwa maelezo zaidi.
Tukidunda viwanjani ni kwamba timu ya riadha ya Kenya imeorodheshwa katika nafasi ya pili kwenye mashindano ya riadha ya wachezaji wasiozidi umri miaka 20 yaliyotamatika usiku wa kuamkia leo katika uwanja wa Hayward Field, Eugene, Oregon kule Marekani. Ni yale ambayo kikosi hicho cha Kenya kilichojumuisha wachezaji 23, wavulana 12 na wasichana 11 kilichofanikiwa kushinda jumla ya medali 11, dhahabu 4, fedha 3 na shaba 4.
Hii goal na dedicate to my mom, Naomi Manta. Is my biggest source of support. Amekuwa akini the advice. Jana usiku alinipigia saa 8. Umekimbia? Nakaambia sijakimbia bado. Akaniambia mbona nilikuwa tuna watch games zinaendelea, sijakuona yako. Nikaambia yangu ni leo mchana. Sasa akaniambia nakuombea, silali, utashinda, usiogope. Kila kitu kifanya weka Mungu mbele. So namshukuru sana mamangu. Hii goal na dedicate kwake.
Nilikuwa nimechoka pia, lakini hiyo varia ikanisumbua kidogo, lakini nikaenda mpaka mahali nikasema mpaka ni ng'ang'ane hii nipate medal. So nimepeleka medal West Pokot.
Na Lugari Progressive wamelitetea taji lao la kaunti ya Kakamega kwa mara ya 5 mfululizo baada ya kubwaga wapinzani wao wa jadi Red Commandos kupitia mikwaju ya penalti katika fainali ya Safaricom Chapa Dimba katika kaunti ya Kakamega iliyofanyika katika uwanja wa Approved School mjini kule Kakamega. Mchuano huo wa akina dada ulimalizika sare tasa kwenye muda wa kawaida, huku Lugari wakitoa ushindi wa mabao 3-0 baada ya mikwaju ya penalti katika fainali ya wavulana Green Buffaloes ya Wisero, ndio mabingwa wapya katika kaunti ya Kakamega.
Because it has been a good platform for the youth, and all along Lugari Progressive has been part of this journey since its inception. We have taken Chapa Dimba to be a platform for the girls, and we hope that it will keep giving them a chance to be able to show talent. And I'm happy that we are defending it for the 5th time, is it? Running.
Kwa ngumu, Mnyas Vipers walijipanga, walikuwa wazuri kila sekta, wametupea challenge. Though Mungu amekuwa na sisi, tukawini hiyo game. Last edition tukicheza tulitolewa na Musingu pale round of 16. Sasa hii tumeng'ang'ana, tumechukua ubingwa wa county. Tunashukuru tu Mungu.
Kwingineko ni kwamba Mwadhi Girls ama Mwadhi Gisheru ameandikisha matokeo mazuri kwenye siku ya kwanza ya michuano ya michezo ya gofu Kenya Junior match play katika klabu ya gofu ya Sigona. Gisheru anayewakilisha Royal Nairobi Golf Club alipata alama za juu zaidi siku ya leo na kuchukua nafasi ya kwanza katika hatua ya kufuzu, akimaliza mbele ya Jelani Kihanya wa Limuru Country Club, na ye Kevin Anyena wa Royal Club limaliza nafasi ya tatu. Hatua ya kufuzu ya stock play ilikuwa mtihani muhimu kabla ya hatua ya match play, ambapo wachezaji walihitajika kumaliza miongoni mwa 32 bora ili kuendelea kwenye michuano hiyo.
I'm happy with my performance. I shot 1 under par today, so pretty happy with that, but not too focused about it. Just was trying to make it through the cut and make it into tomorrow.
We have the first day as a stroke play event. So we had 64 players who signed up for this event today. And out of the 64 players, we'll have half of them, 32 players, making cut to play the match play rounds, which will be played.
Na bila shaka mpenzi mtazamaji, kufikia hapo nakamilisha awamu hii ya TV47 habari, lakini hatubanduki, manake tulikuahidi kwamba tukimaliza tunaingia katika mjadala, yaani mjadala wa ballot countdown, ambao unatuelekeza katika masuala ya uchaguzi, utayari wake, wakati ambapo wewe na mimi tuna maswali, tunatafuta namna ya kuyajibu. Na kumbuka mjadala huu unaofuatilia kwa 22047 na mitandao ya kijamii TV47 Kenya, pale Radio 47 Kenya, pia Facebook, kule X, Instagram, YouTube, kokote kule utakuwa ukitupata. Na pia katika Radio 47 tunaupeperusha mjadala huu mubashara kuhakikisha kwamba unayapokea haya. Lakini kwa sasa navuka upande wa pili, na ambapo pia nitakuwa nikielekea, ambapo Fred Indimuli pamoja na Martin Githinji, yani Daddy Mato, wapo pale kuhakikisha mjadala huu unasonga mbele. Kwenu upande huo wa pili, Fred, ulicho nacho, tuendelee tukisonga.
Mutuko, and thank you so much guys for joining us, because this is indeed a ballot countdown. As we had promised to earlier, the discussion begins today. 365 days to the next general election. I know there's that argument that the election should have been tomorrow, but we'll overlook that one for today. Yes, we're here in a makeshift studio where we have a live audience here. We do have the experts with us and analysts who are going to help us understand just how prepared we are for the next election. Plus, we have you, our audiences at home. Remember that this program is being broadcast live on both TV47 and Radio 47, so unaweza kufuatilia moja kwa moja kwa Radio 47 au television yetu TV47. Yes. Just before I go to Daddy Mato to give us the numbers and everything, we just want to gauge how prepared we are for the next election. And when I introduced my panelists earlier, two of them had not arrived, so allow me to introduce JC Loriono Kou, who's a registrar of political parties. Karibu sana. It's good to have you with us today. I earlier introduced Joshua Changoni, who's executive director, CRECO, Kenya E-Log Steering Committee. And now joining us is Hussein Khalid, CEO of Vocal Africa, a familiar face in the world of activism. It's good that you're here with us. Karibu sana. With us today also Jerusalem Mwathime, Commissioner NCIC, that's a National Cohesion and Integration Commission. We have Kevin Osido, Governance Specialist and Executive Director, County Governance Watch, and definitely Robert Kanyoro Thuku, AI Engineer, JQAT, and CEO Tukupe. So ladies and gentlemen, the question is simple, because we just need to understand how ready we are. And these people here on stage have been observing or been involved in our electoral cycles for the last 3 or 4 decades. Yeah, so in comparison to what you've seen previously, I know when registrar of political parties, a lot has been happening behind the scenes in terms of party discipline, party preparedness, new parties being registered. If we may start from there, if you may give your analysis very briefly in about 60 seconds or so, how prepared are we 1 year to the next election in as far as political parties are concerned?
Thank you very much. Thank you for that introduction.
I think the preparation has to take different dimensions. But in this case, if I was to speak in relation to political parties, basically political parties are the primary stakeholders of elections. And so this is the period, as you can see. Of course, in Kenya, I'm not sure when the period starts, but this is the period when political parties get to align themselves to where they see their best foot forward in terms of getting power for the next general election, which alignment, and of course in terms of rules, this is a time that they set their rules in order. Their nomination rules are getting ready to be reviewed. They review their constitutions, they put in place their party organs, the NECs, the NDCs, and ratify every other process required, so that then they are, preparing themselves for the party primaries, which comes up early next year.
In terms of numbers, how many parties have so far complied with the recommendations or the requirements to be able to go for elections? I know we're still 1 year away. How many parties?
Well, we haven't undergone that process yet, because for elections, actually all the parties registered up to this moment, which is now at 98, we now have fully registered parties standing at 98. And then we have 34 as provisionally registered, so that if they manage to comply with all the rules by October, somewhere mid-October this year, then they might be adding to the 98. If they don't, then probably we'll have the 98. But then the review of all the processes before that will come probably as we head up to September, October. And then after that is when those who will qualify will then register for purposes of election.
So if I may do quick numbers there, it means that we'll be looking at possibly 130 political parties. I think that's a record. When I was saying earlier, I don't know if we've had that many parties before as we prepare for elections.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, there hasn't been this many parties. But of course, as days go by, democracy widens, more people coming in, we're seeing new parties being registered. I think the latest one we saw Mr. Registrar on TV following up on the Linda Mwananchi party. So this is expected. I think in the next election there will even be more, and the following election there will even be more. I think the question that you've asked is about preparedness, which I personally think we are not prepared. Definitely not. Just judging from previous by-elections, if you saw what happened in Olkalau, the violence, some of them meted out by state agencies such as police officers. Last year, we also had by-elections of a number of constituencies. And again, we saw how the results were not reflecting the wishes of the masses. So I think we do have a concern at this point in time, and we feel that more needs to be done, particularly by constitutional commissions, such as NCIC, which is luckily in this gathering, IEBC, of course, the Registrar of Political Parties. These are institutions that are mandated by law, by the Constitution, to take serious action where there are reported malpractices. And we have not been seeing that happening as it should.
All right.
So we hope that they will pick up, they will pull up their socks so that they can deliver on their mandates.
Yes, and it should be noted that we had also invited the IEBC, which is the main body that runs elections in Kenya, but for one reason or another, they were not able to join us today, both the commissioners or the secretariat as well. But we continue. We still have NCIC represented here. And before I get to NCIC, I know many questions may be pointed towards that direction. But Changoni, as an observer, and I know you've done this with ELOG and CRECO for a while now. 1 year to elections, are we being too harsh on ourselves? Are we being too harsh on the IEBC? Probably at this point, last election, we were not as ready as we are.
Yeah, thank you very much. From my perspective and from a citizen's lens, I think Kenyans are enthusiastic to participate in the 2027 general elections more than any other elections that we've had in this country, from 2007 elections and the 3 past elections under the 2010 Constitution. If you look at the engagement by citizens online and even their debates in public spaces, whether it could be Bunge la Mwananchi, participation in the political rallies of different political factions, you see some level of interest of participating in the elections. And we can even gauge from the recent mass registration by the IEBC how Kenyans came out in big numbers to register either as new voters to transfer their voting stations from one voting station to the other, just to show that they want to participate in the election. So the statistics cannot even lie. But again, as my brother Hussein has said here, that there could be other electoral stakeholders that are not prepared. Probably either they have not acquired the necessary resources, or they have not, inculcated the level of discipline that is required to them to have, tolerance and not even fight each other. Probably that is another perspective. But for me, the enthusiasm among Kenyans to participate in the 2027 general elections is on top gear.
All right. And of course, it's a game of numbers. Elections is purely a game of numbers. And we'll be looking at the numbers. Matu is somewhere just working out his calculator, crunching the numbers. We'll get there. But for now, questions are being asked about our preparedness in terms of cohesion. Madam Jerusa. And NCIC has been on the spot, especially in recent weeks, that things are not going as we should have expected. If you look at Chapter 15 and all the commissions that are listed there that are supposed to be independent, the expectations are very high, actually probably higher than they've ever been. Are you confident that you're up to the task this time around? And that's a direct question to the NCIC. You've been called a toothless bulldog. You've been called inconsequential. Yet this is an independent office. If you're confident, where does your confidence come from?
Thank you very much. Let me say we are confident, and our confidence comes from the law establishing the commission. We understand that as this commission, this is the 4th commission of NCIC. We came into office around 2.5 months ago, and we understand that we've come into office at a period where there is a lot of political activity. We have come into office at a period where we are expected to do so much. We have observed that every single weekend, we always have one issue or another of a politician who has spoken words that can be interpreted as hate speech, that can be interpreted as ethnic incitement and all that. So as a commission, number one, let me put it this way. We are the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, and so we are mostly a commission that is supposed to ensure that there is peace, to promote peace building, to promote cohesion, to promote integration. And so most of our work might be behind the scenes. Most of our work involves a lot of peace building activities, civic education, and engagement. I know Kenyans want to see prosecutions, they want to see convictions, and they have labeled us as a hate speech commission, because that is the understanding that Kenyans have there. But I think it's very important that Kenyans understand that this commission is not just about prosecutions and convictions, because as a commission, when we get complaints, or even when we observe something that has happened, we do our investigations. And once we do our investigations, we have to work with several bodies, including the Communications Authority and other institutions, first of all, to ensure that we have proper transcription, proper interpretation of the speech. And then from there, we liaise with the DCI, we prepare our file, and forward the same to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, who then must weigh the merits of the case and then take it to court. Remember, hate speech is a criminal offense as per the NCIC Act. And for lawyers, you would understand that the balance of proof for criminal offenses is beyond reasonable doubt. Okay. Beyond reasonable doubt, even the panelist here will tell you, proving a case beyond reasonable doubt requires meticulous investigation.
Yes, and as you say that, because you're talking about what Kenyans expect, this past week you formed a multi-agency task force to help you with this so that you work together with DCI and everyone else. And there was a declaration by one of the members there that some of these people who have been caught on the other side of the law, probably because of hate speech or incitement or intimidation against voters, that they will not be on the ballot. Is that an assurance that you can tell Kenyans that you're prepared enough as a multi-agency task force that anyone involved in hate speech will not be on the ballot?
Let me put it this way. That multi-stakeholder collaboration was very necessary because, as I've told you, NCIC cannot work alone. it works with many agencies. But I can speak for NCIC. What we are going to do is we are going to do compliance reports. So that if we have a politician or any leader who has engaged in hate speech or ethnic incitement, and they have not been cleared by NCIC, they have not cooperated, they have not coordinated, either their file is at ODPP pending, or they have not retracted their words, gone for apologies, because these are civil remedies, then we will send our compliance report to the necessary bodies, including the IBC and ORPP. So once we send those reports showing that this person is not fit to hold office for 1, 2, 3 reasons, then it is upon other institutions now like IBC to make that decision whether what we are forwarding to them is enough to disqualify them. But through that multi-stakeholder collaboration that we had, we have those assurances that when we have a case which we feel that has the threshold, then IBC will consider it, and that is the multi-stakeholder collaboration that we're talking about.
All right.
Yes.
And allow me to do something, and you'll forgive me for this, because listening so far to Madam Jerusa, we're talking about the confidence of preparedness. By a show of hands, how many of you are confident enough that any person caught perpetrating hate speech will not be on the ballot? By a show of hands. Well, that's a level of confidence. Anyway, let's move on now. Okay, you have said something about that.
So let me just finish, because you had asked a question, how prepared we are. So let me just say that what we are doing is, one, we have a roadmap that we hope to launch very soon, an election roadmap towards 2027. And the election roadmap basically speaks about things that we're going to do before the elections, during the elections, and after the elections. And our first item on the agenda is building public trust, because we know we do not have it. And from this audience, you can see we do not have it. So we are working on building public trust, because we know we have a very big role ahead of us. People must believe in us. They must trust in us to know that we can deliver. And so as the fourth commission, we are engaging in our roadmap. We are going to be engaging in a lot of, first of all, youth engagement, the young people. The young people form the biggest population in our country. 0 to 35 years forms to 75% of the population. So we are doing these engagements, one, intergenerational conversations between the young and the old. Because as you know, NCSC was formed as a result of the 2007 post-election violence. And we are here to make sure that that does not happen again. And so far it has not happened, and it will not happen. That is our job, to ensure that. Yes, to ensure that we do not get there. And in 2024, for the first time, we had a conflict that is not ethnic. It was intergenerational. We had Gen Zs versus Gen X. And so we are doing this intergenerational conversation to have the older people listen to the younger people. What are their expectations? What are they lacking? What is the problem? And also the younger people to listen to the older people.
Thank you so much for that, Jerusa. Let's now talk about something else that we rarely discuss. So far, we've just been talking about 1 term, 2 term. These are general election, and the other seats. That's why we have a county governance watch here, Kevin Osido. When we talk about preparedness and we're not talking about devolution, what does it mean? That no one is talking about the governors. Very few people are talking about MCAs and senators. Are we really prepared 1 year to elections? Very few people are talking about matters devolution. Did we lose it somewhere?
Fred, that's a very, very good question, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And part of the challenge that we have as a country, which is why I honestly get bothered around the number of registered political parties and the several others that are still in queue, is because in our elections, we normally lack what is called an ideology. So much such that even in the conversations that are going on, 1 term, 2 term, no term, full term, all those terms, none of them is focusing on an ideology that would probably identify with devolution. But yet, the Constitution of Kenya, actually in Chapter 11, gives devolution a very strong face. That this is where the citizens actually meet with services. But if you look at the process through which we elect our devolution leaders, that is the governor, the MCA, the senator, it is through a political process. That is now elections. So it is up to and until when we begin to focus on ideologies, and indeed what I would probably call an agenda of an election. It is only up to in 2022 when we probably had a conversation in this country that narrowed very close to the economic conversations, which was hustlers versus dynasties, and we were told about bottom-up, that the Mamambogas would be in cabinet, that the border riders would actually be the principal secretaries. I don't know how many of them. And that really worried people around identifying with a leader who actually gave them a space to begin to see themselves in government. So until when we make devolution an issue, an election issue, and begin to say that when I become president, not that Kevin Osido wants to be president, I will ensure that resources that are supposed to go to counties actually are sent on time. I will ensure that functions that have been given to counties in Schedule 4 of the Constitution of Kenya are fully devolved, because we still are struggling with unbundling of functions. We are struggling with financing those functions. We still have government, national government, ministries, departments, and agencies still stifling resources that are supposed to go to counties. So, Fred, the biggest issue, therefore, is the failure to make devolution an election issue. And that election issue has to be driven by the people who are seated here with us. They are the ones who must get an opportunity, even to stop their leaders and say, tumechoka na maneno ya one term, tumechoka na maneno ya two term. Show us the value that those terms actually present to us as a people. And if it is devolution, I would actually campaign for a leader who advances the spirit, the values, and the virtues of devolution.
So in as far as devolution is concerned, we are least prepared for this election?
I would say, if I were to probably put it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, I would say that we are at 3 for preparedness on election and devolution.
Let's talk about technology. And for the very first time, technology will be key, and not just technology for elections or voter identification, but it's technology on how we communicate, how we campaign, how we engage on issues. And when Robert Kanyoro Dhuku, you are the expert here. AI is here with us. Before we take a break, we cannot allow you to go without saying anything. How has it changed the game? And are we prepared for it? Even the fact that we're talking about intergenerational discordance.
Thank you so much. Allow me to start by saying that I'm not a public servant. I'm not in government. But yeah, it's a good disclaimer, even as you have this conversation. And allow me to just give us more statistics of what is happening. Statistics have shown that about 58% of Kenyans are using AI. And that 58% probably is below 30 years of age. The Minister of ICT is working on a draft policy on artificial intelligence, but has not been able to work on it for the last 2 years. It has been developing for the last 2 years. So currently, we don't have a policy. So that is a foundational truth, that we don't have a policy that is guiding on the usage of AI, generated materials, posters that are generated, videos that are generated. I've seen so many on TikTok. And we don't have a policy that is guiding this. The only policy that we have is probably the Cybercrime Act that has not really covered what is happening in artificial intelligence. In the last election, I was involved in management. I was a coordinator of a party in my county. I was a returning officer during nomination period, during the nomination of that party. And we used technology at that time. But this time, even on strategy, in strategizing on mining data and all that, but this time is going to be worse because of artificial intelligence. You remember in 2016, what happened in USA. They talked about Russians interfering with the election that happened during the Obama time. So there was a company, you remember, Cambridge Analytica, how it was able to manipulate what people are thinking and deciding. So it can happen. And
it is a real threat in Kenya now.
It is actually a threat, especially now that we have what we are calling open source model. They are open source models that now you can set your own ChatGPT. Recently, I have created Tukua AI that launched another day that is connected to government that is able to fetch, if you the opportunities that are in government and you upload your CV and it's able to match. So people are able to make. Okay. So we see an emerging of a lot of tools that are going to interfere with the election.
Are you prepared for that? It's only 365 days to the election. Ballot Countdown is the name of the game, the name of the show right here. 365 days to the next general election. Are we prepared? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this.
For 22 years, the old Arsenal artillery has lain silent and dormant, but the fuse is about to go boom!
Yami na flow kama maji, juu ni tamu kama sali. Ni juicy. Are you bored? Kuna vitu zinakuudhi, usijali my bro, hebu kama taka juicy juni.
I'm cooking pancakes. I love mandazi. Bread is my favorite. Donuts, mwah.
Kibanda na nyumbani anywhere.
Nurturing the world, one bite at a time. Yay!
The more the milk, the better the chai. Chai kweli ina Brookside Dairy Best.
All right, listen up. Colgate is on a mission. It's kind of a big thing. Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
Colgate Charcoal Gentle Clean cleans and polishes teeth for a whiter smile and a naturally fresh and clean mouth. Choose natural. Choose Colgate Charcoal.
Countdown, where we're counting down beginning today, 365 days to the next general election. Remember, this is we are broadcasting live on both TV 47 and Radio 47, so you can tune into either. For now, let's get some updates from our viewers outside Nairobi. Let's get an update from our reporter in Mombasa. This is what they have to say about what we're discussing here.
Thank you so much. I'm coming to you live from Mombasa CBD, and they will be engaging residents of Mombasa just about their expectations. The countdown is 365 days to the next general elections. What are their expectations and what are they looking forward as we near the electioneering period, or rather the elections? Start just by your name, tuambie unaitwa nani?
Kwa majina naitwa Charles Mugenyi na mimi ni mkazi wa Mombasa. Naam.
Kulingana na wewe, ni nini haswa kifanywe ili uhisi kwamba uchaguzi uwe wa huru na uwe wa haki?
Kwanza ningependa kusema kuwa tuko na takriban mwaka mmoja kwenda uchaguzi 2027, na Wakenya kuwa na imani na uchaguzi ujao. Ni lazima kuwa yale taasisi ama institution ambazo zimetengenezwa kushirikia mambo uchaguzi security apparatus lazima zifanye kazi zinavyostahili. Kama ni IBC ifanye kazi yake inavyostahili. Kama ni askari polisi wafanye kazi yao inavyostahili. So for Kenyans to have faith ama kuwa na imani na hizi taasisi, lazima kila ambaye anafaa kufanya shughuli ile afanye kazi yake inavyostahili. Kwa sababu currently right now we are having a scenario whereby unakuta zile taasisi ambazo zilitengenezwa zisaidia mwananchi zinatumiwa ku settle political wars. Askari wanatumiwa ku settle political wars. Judiciary inatumiwa ku settle political wars. So for us to have faith with next year's election, IBC should do what's supposed to be done, judiciary to do what's supposed to do, the police should do what's supposed to do. Kila mtu afanye kazi yake in accordance to the constitution ama in accordance to the law of this country.
Kulingana na maoni yako, je, wa Kenya wana imani na IEBC?
Kwa hivi sasa kama kuna shirika na hii ni maoni yangu kivyangu, bado watu wana ile atiati. Bado watu hawaamini kama Kenya kunaweza kuwa na uchaguzi wa haki. People still do not believe that IBC can hold credible election in this country. So it's up to the current leadership ya IBC kutupatia ile imani, kutupatia ile hope kuwa they can, as a country we can hold credible election. So it's up to IBC kufanya hivi inavyostahili.
Asante sana. Vilevile tusikie maoni ya mwingine ambaye ni mwanasheria na vilevile mkazi wa Mombasa. Anza tu kwa jina.
Kwa jina anaitwa Lawrence Obonyo, ni wakili, nafanya kazi hapa Mombasa. Naam.
Wakili, kumekuwa na visa watu wanaenda mahakamani baada ya uchaguzi, wanasema kwamba uje kwa huru na haki. Labda kulingana na wewe, mwanya uko wapi na nini kifanyike ili uchaguzi wa huru na haki uweze kushuhudiwa nchini?
Kusema ukweli, kumekuwa na shida za uchaguzi kila wakati, kuna tetesi kila wakati watu wakilielia kuhusiana na mambo ya uchaguzi, lakini yote inatokana na ile tume ambayo iko hapo kuhakikisha uchaguzi uko sawa. Hawajafanya mikakati, hawajafanya mipango kuhakikisha kuwa uchaguzi unafanyika kwa njia ya huru na haki. Na katika kufanya mipango hiyo lazima iwe kabla ya uchaguzi, wakati wa uchaguzi na baada ya uchaguzi. Hivyo basi kwa kiwango kingi tunawalumbikizia wao lawama kwa kutofanya vitu kwa njia sawa. Wangetaka vitu vifanyike vikiwa sawa. Unaona ule usawa ambao uko katika sheria, wafuate sheria. Sheria tunazo, wanafaa kuzifuata sheria kuhakikisha watu ambao wanakiuka kanuni na ratiba ambazo zimewekwa wanachukuliwa hatua. Kwa sasa kuna vitu vingi ambavyo vimefanyika ambavyo watu hawatilii mkazo ambao hawaangalii sheria ambayo iliyoko. Kunao sheria ambayo inaangalia mambo ya uchaguzi, kabla ya uchaguzi, wakati wa uchaguzi na baada ya uchaguzi. Kwa sasa tunaona ni kama kuna watu viwango viwili. Kuna watu wana matamshi mabaya, kuna watu ambao wana mambo ya uchochezi, lakini tume haiwachukulii hatua. Itakapofika wakati wa kupiga kura wataendelea visawasawa. Hivyo basi watu watafikiria hiyo ndio mwenendo, hiyo ndio njia ya kufanya vitu zote.
Labda swali la mwisho niulize kwamba kumekuwa na visa vya wahuni kutumika katika mikutano ya kisiasa. Labda kulingana na wewe na mahali unapoketa, labda vyombo husika kama watu ambao wanahusika na wamekabili ipasavyo visa hivyo?
Shida ni kubwa sana. Hawa wahuni, watu wengi wanasema kwa kiwango kingi sana ya kuwa wahuni wasiposhughulikiwa inaonekana ni kama wahuni wamelipwa ama wanafanyia vitengo fulani vya serikali kazi. Ni vipi inaonekana kuwa wahuni wanaonekana nyuso zao kila mahali, wanashikwa katika kanda za CCTV lakini hawashikwi? Hivyo basi shida iko hapo ya kuwa vitengo vya usalama, wale ambao wana wajibu wa kufanya mambo kama hayo hawawajibiki. Hivyo basi uhuni unaongezeka, shida inaongezeka na hali inakuwa mbovu.
Asante sana.
Nashukuru.
Na asante sana mwenzangu. Haya ni maoni ya wakazi kutoka kaunti hii ya Mombasa. Kwa hiyo tusubiri na tutumai kwamba wadau husika wataweza kuwajibika ili kuhakikisha kwamba uchaguzi utakuwa huru na haki na kila atakayeshiriki atahisi kutendewa haki katika hatua zote za shughuli hiyo muhimu. Kutoka hapa kaunti ya Mombasa, mimi ni Quinte Wafula na regesha kwako studio.
Engage the audience here in studio. Martin Githinji is on standby on the other side with the numbers. Martin, how are the numbers looking like?
Thank you very much, Fred. IEBC held mass voter registration for new voters this year. And there was an expectation, kulikuwa na kaleka hope that hizo numbers zitagrow, ziende, zimeendaga. Kuna mahali imefika. But there shall be 2 more mass voter registrations call-outs by IEBC this year, and one last one next year. We just hope that more will come. But so far, these are the numbers as at July of 2026. This is the cumulative number of voters. Nairobi County has the most number of voters with 2.7 million, followed by Kiambu County with 2.4, and Nakuru with 1.9, and Meru with 949,000 registered voters. Again, this is not the new voters. This is all the voters. So far, those who voted before, plus the new ones. Next, we have Machakos County with 784,000, Bungoma with 738, Kisii with 710,000, and then I think those so far are the top 8 in terms of the highest number. Next, we have Mombasa County with 707, Murang'a with 673,000, Kilifi with 661, and Kisumu with 658,000. Ukiwa hapo nyumbani, hebu jiulize, uko kwa county gani na yako imekuwa represented aje? Umekimbia kwa street, umesema, oh, hivi ndivyo tutafanya, hivi ndivyo hatutafanya. Watu wako wamehesabika. Wako hapo kwa hiyo list. Aya, next we have Homa Bay County with 609,000, Kitui 605, Siaya 582,000, and Uasin Gishu County with 575,000. Nyeri County 531, Makueni 529,000, Kajiado 522,000, Migori 519,000. Remember, the margins were very small between the presidential election results for William Ruto and Raila Odinga, approximately 233,000 votes. So be sure these numbers actually do matter. Kericho 482,000, Nandi 461,000, Busia 460,000, Narok 448,000. So far, has your county where you are registered as a voter been mentioned? Aya. Trans Nzoia 444,000, Bomet 424,000, Kirinyaga County 415,000, Nyandarua 383. Hii namba labda kuna mambo tunajua ili happen huko. Labda tuseme ilikuwa before, but we know Nyandarua County kulikuwa na kamoto fulani kalikuwa huko. Maybe the numbers will go up. Kwale County 360,000, Embu 360,000, Nyamira 350,000, Vihiga 339,000. All right, we're almost getting to the 47th county. So you can see, sasa tumeanza kuingia kwa wale wako na the low numbers. We have Baringo County with 319, Turkana 298,000, sorry. Laikipia 291, Tharaka Nithi 261. Tharaka Nithi 261,000. If you know, you know. West Pokot 261,000. Elgeyo Marakwet 244. Mandera 236,000. Wajir 230,000. And now for the least number of registered voters from the below 7, like from 7 uko nyuma kuteremka, we have Garissa County with 227,000, Taita Taveta 208,000, Marsabit with 191,000, Tana River with 161,000, and then last but not least we have Samburu County with 120,000, Isiolo with 100,000, and Lamu County, which has the least number of registered voters, with 91,604. But please remember, hizo county tatu zikishikana zinaweza weka president. Jua hivyo. So the total number of registered voters nationwide so far as of July 2026, according to IEBC, is 24,715,257 voters. Are you one of them? Uko kadi? Aya. Back to you, Fred.
Thank you so much, Martin, for the good job you're doing. And yes, remember, a continuous voter registration is still on. Mass voter registration, the last one netted about 2.6 million new voters. We do expect that there could be 2 other instances where we'll have mass registration as well. So, Changwan, you talked about enthusiasm when it comes to numbers. You said that quite a number of people are looking like they are ready to vote. Do these numbers speak of that? Do you think, okay, fine, because even the projection about by the time they're done with it, it will be about 28.5 million voters. But we know from history that even when the register was at 22,000, only about 14,000 showed up. Is the enthusiasm any different this time around?
Now, and Muli, we have to look back at the behavior of our countrymen and women from 2017, and now 2027. When we have an election where an incumbent is seeking re-election at the presidential level, the way Kenyans turn out in terms of voting behavior is different from an election where there is a transition. So you can compare 2013, 2022, and this 2027. Because the characteristics of our voter turnout is last minute. But when you compare with previous elections, the reason mass voter registration scored high. In 2022, we had some form of regret that even resources had been used, but the utility of that money did not give us a return in terms of the campaign for people to register as either newly registered voters or people who would want to change their stations of voting. So for me, I characterize this as enthusiasm or the goodwill by Kenyans. And even with those who have just acquired IDs, they are yearning for the next mass voter registration. And even with the devolved registration platforms, like now we go to the Huduma centers, which probably is also expanding the avenue of how Kenyans can also register as voters. But I want to say that my brother Kevin Osido did mention about ideology. I think the driving force behind the 2027 campaign is anger, is some level of anger, from the voters. Either expectations that have not been met, and that is why we narrow down the electoral conversation into 2-term and 1-term, which is not a philosophy. Is not a characteristics of people wanting either programs or what. It's just anger, either to punish or to show the might to say that I can cast my voter and these are the consequences.
Right.
So for me, I think even with that, a demonstration of a behavior in itself is democratic by Kenyans. And even you can look at it from the level of tolerance among Kenyans with different or divergent opinions that they express either online or even through public debates that we see.
All right. And yes, we'll come back to discuss exactly what will be driving, what narratives will we be looking at, what exactly will drive your decision come 2027. Before that, we'd like to engage our lovely audience here. And Mato, unazungumzia vijana wanasema nini, especially when it comes to numbers. Wameregister kwanza, watapiga kura. Kwa nini watapiga kura? Watuambie.
Thank you very much, Fred. I remember for the elections in 2022, the gentleman that was trending was Githeri Man. And for the elections, actually, was it 2022? Or the one before? 2017, yes. 2017 was Githeri Man. Nilikuwa nikifanya hivyo nione kama mko attentive. Thank you. And then 2022, the gentleman that was trending was Sina Maoni. Now, nani anataka kuanzisha trend yetu round hii? Okay. Naona watu wako na maoni. All right, so I think probably I'll just start with the gentleman that is right next to me. Ni swali ama ni maoni? Ni swali. Aya, simama tafadhali na ulize.
Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Njoroge. I'm a youth leader from Naivasha constituency. And my question is to the IEBC. For the IEBC, we don't have a representative here, but we have the NCIC who can answer this. So the IEBC, is it really an independent body at the moment right now? Or do the dog know its owner? Because, no, that's true because we We have seen even a philosopher said that a referee does not look at one side because the whistle came from the one of the team. So they must be very strict to their work because they're dependent. And this because from the latest poll from Ol Karau, we saw that they were not very straight. They were demeaning one side. Because, for instance, one of the MPs from Kipipiri, Wanjiku Muhia, just said the correct thing. They say that will not allow people, the outcasts or people from outside Ol Karau to vote there, but then she was fined 1.5 million. But the other one who are just bribing voters in the daylight, are just they just go like that. And the other one whose car was seen and the number plate was taken and it was identified was one of the MPs allied with the government. But then no action have been taken up to now. So you see, is IEBC an independent body, or does the dog know its owner? Asante.
All right, so for the first question, Fred, it's still on a matter of trust. IEBC inaaminika ama haiaminiki? Unataka kutupeleka na hiyo kwanza ama tuchukue maswali mengine? Tuendelee. Haya, ikikuwa mzito, I think probably let me go to a lady first and then tutaenda tukicheza hivyo. All right? So let me just come here.
Thank you so much. So my name is Masai Chebet, Emeritus President, Kenya Methodist University, and an aspirant for the National Youth Council. So my first question, thank you so much. My first question is to Mr. Robert Thuku. Are we in a position to have free and fair elections online as a country? Of course, America does it, and that is what is happening, of course, going with the times. But are we able to do it with technology that can prevent tampering? Because it's one thing to conduct it, it's another to have the necessary technology to prevent tampering. And I have this other question for Ms. Jerusa. What about hate speech, like from Kenyan to Kenyan? Because it's, of course, the politicians are mostly the inciters, but today, if I say I am Chebet, someone has already thought, okay, this one is team this or that. And I think people who actually do the harm, we are under political incitement, but the harm is usually from me to my neighbor and my neighbor to me. So what are you doing about limiting the citizens as much as we are limiting the others? But so far, hopefully your efforts will bear fruits and we'll have a free and fair elections. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Ni watoroke kidogo, ni balance kidogo, nipeleke side nyingine. Si ndio? Haya. Naona consensus, tunakubaliana. Haya. Wacha tukuje upande huu, tuanze hapa, alafu nitakuja hapo.
Thank you so much. My name is Gideon Mereru, the CEO of Okoa Vijana Initiative, to Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. As we approach the 2027 general election, political parties are already positioning themselves and Kenyans are beginning to align themselves with different political formation. We are also hearing increasingly polarizing narratives such as one-term, two-term. What specific measures is the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties putting in place to ensure that political parties respect the law, conduct issue-based politics, promote internal democracy, and avoid using ethnicity, misinformation, intimidation, or hate speech to mobilize voters? Can you assure Kenyans that the rules will apply equally to parties supporting the government and those opposing the government? My brother, who is from the electioneering election department, the election working group has an important role in strengthening political preparedness and public confidence. 1 year to the election, what are the 3 biggest risks you are currently identifying and that could undermine the credibility of the 2027 election? And what should government, political parties, civil society, and citizens do now, not after the election, to prevent those risks? National cohesion, the commissioner. NCIC has a particular sensitive responsibility because of political competition in Kenya can easily become an ethnic competition. As you approach the 2027 election, how prepared is the Commission to deal with political rhetoric that may not directly call for violence, but gradually create suspicion, hostility, and us versus them, politics among communities? Where should Kenya draw the line between legitimate political criticism and hate speech and incitement? I'll give the others as time progress.
Umepewa opportunity, umekosa kuuliza zote. Haya, utashangaa. Haya. All right.
Thank you very much. My name is Denise Kileta, the National Organizing Secretary and Vuguvugu la Vijana Maendeleo ya Pwani, and I'm here to represent my young people, of course, about the preparations towards the 2027 general election. So my question goes to the IEBC, and of which I'll have to actually ask I'll have to ask Madam Jerusa. Many young people have concerns about credibility of election. What is IEBC taking in, not just before the elections, but what is IEBC taking in about to bring the public confidence in 2027 elections?
All right, thank you very much. Fred, huku maswali mingi sana ni kama zilikuwa zinaelekea towards IEBC. Kwa hivyo kuna balloon ni kama zimekuwa deflated kidogo.
You can take one more, then we get them answered.
Okay, all right. We can just take one more. Let me just take this one more, and then we can get them answered.
Thank you. I'm George Jambo Uma from Safina Youth League, and I'm also an aspirant for Member of Parliament of Nyula constituency. To begin with, he said that political party lack ideologies when it comes to devolution and etc. Maybe he just hadn't done enough homework. He would have realized that Safina Party were clear in ideology. And then secondly, staying on Safina Party, I also want to urge the young people that as we move forward towards, as we walk the preparedness towards 2027, it's good to align with ideology. And I also want to refute his claim that two-term and one-term is polarization. Two-term and one-term is not polarization. It is just, I want to put it this way, that there are two ways to remove policies. One, remove the policies. Two, remove the policy makers. So when we say one-term, we are simply saying remove the policy makers. It's not polarization. Secondly, I think we very much underplay the role that political parties participate when it comes to our governance. And that's why sometimes maybe we even don't know Mr. Lorin Cow, because we don't know the position that they play when it comes to the governance of this nation, right? Because when you go to the better, what young people have been championing for, good governance, at the base of the pyramid is political parties. Who is governing and who is refereeing these political parties? The office of the registrar of political parties, you see? And if even the dictatorial tendencies of the governance in our governance comes from the political parties, if even the corruption begins from the political parties. Ikiwa kama unataka ticket, like for example, very soon I'll be in a very high end on trying to get my party ticket to run for my member of parliament, and then I'll be told to enda hivi. The registrar of political party should make sure that a person like me democratically gets his ticket, sindio? Because the law guarantees it. And then now I want to come to the NCIC. Well, he has explained a very complicated academic crackdown on how to catch hate speech perpetrators. It was awesome, and I wish that it applies on both aisles. When it comes to those who are in government, it goes so academic, so complicated, but when it goes to Kinakagusha, it's just a one-week thing, and then he's hunted down wherever he is, even from his bedroom. So the NCIC, wacheni hiyo mambo yenyu and try, if possible, just try to, kama ni academic, ikuwa academic on both aisles, ama ni aje? Kama si academic pia isikue pia hivyo. Asanteni sana.
All right, so thank you very much. So Fred, maswali ndizo hizo umezisikia. For now. Wacha nirudishie Fred aendelee, tusikie hizo zijibiwe kwanza, alafu tutaendelea kutoka hapo. We are here. Tukirudi maswali next, gender itabalance. Sawa sawa.
All right, thank you so much for the questions. And I can see that they follow some themes. You can tell that there are people who ask questions which are a bit similar. So let's start probably with the Registrar of Political Parties, Banalorenko. There's so many issues around parties being polarizing, the discipline within parties, the democracy within parties, and probably if I may pose a question, very many young Kenyans, at least he says it's from Safina Party. Any other of you who belongs to a political party? Or you belong to political parties? Impressive. Yes, so, but you belong to parties, great. So yes, when ORPP concerns about the discipline and democracy within political parties and the role that all these things play from the political party position.
Thank you very much, Nimuli. First of all, I want to appreciate that there is a good number of this audience who are in political parties. Because for me, I think that is the most primary issue and very important. I want us to reflect on this a little bit, Jumuli. Allow me to just go back to this. You know, I think we theorize a lot of things. We philosophize everything, and we really lose touch with reality. If I was asked to ask us, let's assume that IBC, for instance, rigged elections. So IBC rigged the president, then IBC rigged the 290 members of parliament, then IBC rigged the 47 governors, then IBC rigged the 1,450 MCS, and rigged all the other nominated members of the National Assembly and the Senate and everywhere else. So what did Kenyans do? Okay, so what did Kenyans do in this sense? I think there is something here that, for me, I think there are two primary things that Kenyans have to hold ourselves accountable. One is we agree that there is something wrong within our electoral system. But I think the problem of not considering ourselves as part of that process is in itself a problem. I have said since I came to this office of the registrar, until Kenyans believe and accept that political parties play a crucial role in elections and they need to make sure that they are there, we will still be talking and we cannot make a difference. You see, by the time that all of us, for instance, go to vote, when you go to choose your president, you go to choose your member of parliament, you go to choose your MCA, you are actually making a choice out of choices already made. Because all the candidates that are brought for election have been fronted by political parties. So the question is, who made the first choice that this person is actually a candidate for that particular position? Were you part of that process? Were Kenyans involved in that process? And so I think, as he said, we have a responsibility as the Office of the Registrar to regulate political parties, but it is also important to take into cognizance that political parties are independent institutions according to the Constitution. They are given their own parameters of operation so that the registrar does not manipulate political parties but can supervise that they operate according to their own guidelines and constitutions. Now, the political parties can only be as good as the members who are in those political parties. And my call that has been to the young people of this country is, if we are serious about influencing policy, if we are serious about getting to these positions, if we are serious about making a difference, we have to invade political parties, because that is where it all starts. So they have to be part of these parties. They have to participate in how these parties develop their own constitutions, how these parties develop their own nomination rules. How do you, in a party, accept that as young people, you'll be given these terms of nominations if it is going to kick you out of the system. But those are things that are developed within the political parties. Now, the office of the registrar can only regulate as per the provisions that are provided by the political party architecture, the constitution, the nomination rules. We can provide a guideline, of course, based on Article 91 of the constitution. But the political party itself has that power to put the nitty-gritties of that system of their own on how that works. So yes, I would agree that a lot of issues happen within the political parties that are still very far from what democracy means. When you talk about inclusion, when you talk about the issues of having systems that are agreeable to what our democratic values mean. One of the things that we are pushing the parties to do is to open the party systems so that the members who are actually members of those political parties are given the right to participate in those choices and not given, just choices from what people sat in a boardroom and did. That is part of what we have proposed in our legal reforms for this time. There are two-party processes that people usually confuse. We have what is called, direct nomination and indirect nomination. And for a lot of time, people confuse and think that direct nomination means that, people are given free, express party tickets. And indirect nominations means that, they're elected by the people. But actually, it's the opposite. Direct nomination means the candidates are elected by the people themselves, the members of that political party. And then indirect nomination means that the members nominate delegates who then go and make a choice for who becomes the candidate. So those are processes that members of the political parties need to understand. And that goes all the way to the party list and things like that. How are they drawn? Who makes those decisions? Because at some point, people come to blame either the office of the registrar or IBC for changing the list somewhere along the way, which is close to impossible. That cannot happen,
All right.
Because there is no political party, I can tell you, who will hand over a list to RPP or hand over a list to IBC, and then I change and they keep quiet. It's not going to work. That's not possible.
It's not.
And we all know that.
Thank you so much for that. The other set of questions, and I think I saw repeated questions directed at the IEBC. Unfortunately, as I said, IEBC, for one reason or another, are not here with us. But I think probably there are people who may identify some of these risks. So one of them is Hussein Khalid. Someone asked a question about what are the risks, 5 or so of them, that you can actually foresee, including because due to acts of commission or omission by the IEBC that you foresee within the next 1 year?
Yeah, so there are a number of risks. And I think, first of all, let's just remember that historically, Kenya has had problems with second-term elections. If you look at Moi, the second-term elections, 1997, we had the tribal clashes. So many people lost their lives, people were displaced, the Kiwumi Commission and others. After Moi came Kibaki, second-term elections, we all know what happened in 2007. Yeah? Again, over 1,000 Kenyans were killed, Kofi Annan and all that, Serikali ya nusu mkate, and what happened. Uhuru Kenyatta, we had Maraga nullifying the presidential results, if you recall. We are again faced with another second-term elections. Now, historically, this has been an issue. Now, for this particular election, we are coming to these elections with what Madam Jerusa here talked of, discordancy within generations. And for me, for these particular elections, the crux of the matter, the big difference that we have is the population, the younger population. If you just look across this room, I would say almost 95% of the audience are youth. This has never happened in our country. All the elections that have passed, it's the parents who have made the decisions. It's those, 35 and above or 30 and above who went out to vote. But for this particular election, that preparedness that my brother is talking about, that readiness, we are seeing young Kenyans taking up positions in political parties. This will be a huge change in these coming elections. And we must put emphasis on our youth, because we've never had in the past, the fathers, the forefathers having this kind of interest in the governance and in the democracy of their country. But now you have a population that is so willing and ready. They're ready to take the bullet. They're ready to give up their lives for a better country, for a better Kenya. And that will be a huge difference. So that particular aspect, that phenomenon, is the first that needs to be addressed. And the risk in that is that the older population, they don't get it. They don't know that these are not the same youth that they grew up, seeing. That these youth now are ready and they are prepared, to bring about that change. Okay. So if that older generation, they don't understand what the youth truly want, then that is the biggest risk that we're going to face. The second risk that we have is the institutions. I think someone asked a question here saying the police must play their role, IBC must play their role, NCIC. Institutions, independence of our institutions. Unfortunately, there's a lot of what we call state capture. As people have said here, we've seen police walking side by side with goons. Yeah, is it just a coincidence that police are never there when only opposition gatherings are happening? Mm-hmm. But there is no attack on, government side activities. Mm-hmm. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so. I think someone asked a question here about someone being charged with hate speech from the opposition. Why is it that it doesn't happen? You have two individuals, senior Kenyans in this country, calling out each other, saying, I won't go until this one goes. Yes. And they all know that, something has happened, but nothing is being done. You have individuals who are leaders of institutions such as legislature, cabinet secretaries who are supposed to be neutral, PSs, openly engaging in partisan politics. It's not supposed to happen. Are these institutions independent? And then last but not least, the third risk are security actors, particularly the police. If we are not careful, this second term election would be even far much worse. But if the police remain one-sided, if they don't become neutral sooner rather than later, then that could really, really cause a huge dent in our electoral process.
Thank you for that, Hussein. And I think a lot of these questions that you've asked are intertwined, and most of them, I think, have been answered. But there was one about the possibility of online voting, and I think this one, to the gentleman on the far end, the issue of the possibility that we may change the technology, we do not know if it's realistic at this time. Where are we, now that you mentioned the risk that we face from technology?
Thank you so much. Thank you for that question, and all the best in your election. I would say we actually vote online to some extent. But I'll give you just for some few seconds how we vote so that you understand why we cannot fully vote online and what we have done so far. One is our constitution, that it mentions how we vote. The second point is pre-verification. When it comes to election, we want to verify that the actual person that is voting is the actual person. So if we vote online, that process is bypassed, and there are going to be some risks. Number two, in Kenya, we have had voters. Traditionally, our voters have been the old people. Gen Zs have not been voting. And actually are the ones who are advocating for fully online voting. But if I look at my own father, who passed on last year, I can tell you he has never used internet in his life. Yet, he was an influencer in our village. So you're saying that if you go now voting online, such a person cannot vote. So we are going to lock out millions of people that vote. In fact, if you look at the registers of the people that vote, it's the older people that vote. However, there's a way out when it comes to technology. In the future, probably we may engage technology like blockchain. But still, even with blockchain technology, there's still going to be chances of fraud because of the pre-voter verification. And our system, and I thank the person who came up with that system, you should never fear because our election ends at the polling station.
All right.
And actually, there was a ruling, I think, by the Court of Appeal that election ends at the polling station, which is a very good system. In fact, we have one of the best voting system in the world.
Right.
So the other part is transmission that happens now online. But this part of voting online is also removes the point of privacy, where you say it's called what? Secret ballot. If we vote online, then we know who voted for what. Finally, if we allow online voting, then I can gather people like this convention and I tell everybody, you must vote for me and I will pay you, and after you vote, now you go. So it brings the voter bribery and all that. So I believe we have the best system currently.
I am looking at my clock because time is really rushing. So Bwana Osidi will allow me to get an update from Nakuru. Mike Chalo is a man on the ground in Nakuru. Mike, what are people talking about a ballot countdown in Nakuru today?
Siku 365 kabla ya uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2027, lakini hata hivyo mengi tumeyaona, mengi tumeyashuhudia na mengi tunayatarajia hasa taifa linapotia guu katika mwaka huu wa uchaguzi mkuu. Kumbuka ni uchaguzi ambao wengi wanaotarajia na ni uchaguzi vile vile ambao idadi kubwa ya wapiga kura ni vijana, na mpaka sasa katika chaguzi ndogo ambazo tumezishuhudia ni kuwa tume mbalimbali, idara mbalimbali zimewekwa katika mizani kutokana na utaarifu wao katika uchaguzi huu. Na katika jiji hili basi nitakuwa naungana na baadhi ya wakazi ambao pia wanajumuisha vijana ambao pia watakuwa wananielezea pengine hadi sasa taifa likoje kutokana na utaarifu wao hasa katika uchaguzi mkuu. Pengine nikianza na wewe, ukianza na jina lako uweze kuniambia mpaka sasa unahisi kuwa IEBC iko tayari katika uchaguzi mkuu, ukianza na jina.
Kwa majina naitwa Kennedy Langat, mkazi wa Nakuru Town West huku Nakuru, na ningependa kusema kwamba ninahisi kwamba IEBC iko tayari katika kufanya ile shughuli, kwa sababu Bwana Chalo, Wakenya na Wakenya wenzangu, tunafaa kuwa positive kwamba mambo yetu yataenda vizuri. Tunafaa kuwa patriotic pia. So tunafaa kuwa tunaombea nchi yetu mazuri, tunafaa kuwa tunatarajia kwamba mambo yataenda vizuri kulingana na vile tunataka. So the first thing ni kwamba tukue very optimistic, tukue very positive na IEBC yetu.
Kando na IEBC, sawa, umesema kuwa IEBC iko tayari, pengine vitengo vya usalama, kwa maoni yako tumeshuhudia mwingilio wa wauni katika chaguzi ndogo na hata kufikia mahali kuwa Wizara ya Usalama wa Ndani inasema kuwa haijui wauni wametoka wapi, japo baadhi tu ya wauni wale pia wamekuwa wakitumia vifaa na zana zingine ambazo pia zimeonekana kuwa za vitengo vya usalama. Pengine usalama wa taifa hili tunapoelekea katika uchaguzi mkuu uko wapi?
Pia bado katika jambo la security ya nchi bado ningependa kuwa positive kwamba, kwa sababu kuna msemo kwamba ambao unasema ya James William anasema kwamba believe that life is worth living and your belief will help create the fact. So inafaa tuamini kwamba security yetu iko sawa.
Lakini ndio tunaamini, lakini mpaka sasa ni mambo yako wazi, kila kitu kiko wazi. Tutaendelea kuamini kuwa tuko sawa wakati ambapo hatuko sawa?
So apart from kuamini, inafaa tuamini kwanza. Ni muhimu kuamini kwamba mambo yetu yatakuwa sawa. It is very important. But then we are also begging and we are calling upon those who are responsible na security yetu kwamba wasichukulie kimzaha na wasiweke siasa katika security. Mambo ya security haifai kuwa pamoja na siasa, na ni vibaya kwamba katika nchi yetu viongozi ambao tunao ambao wanasimamia mpaka mambo ya security, unapata ni watu ambao walikuwa wanasiasa ama bado ni wanasiasa, wamepatiwa ile kazi kwa sababu ya siasa ambayo labda walifanya kwa sababu ya kuunga mkono. Lakini ikiwezekana inafaa tufuatilie ile kitu ambayo inaitwa meritocracy. Bwana Chalo,
wito wako ni gani wewe kama kijana kwa taifa, wanasiasa na tume mbalimbali, hasa taifa linapoingia katika mwaka huu wa uchaguzi?
Wito wangu ni kwamba we have a country and our country is worth more than politics. It is worth more than mirengo kwamba wewe ni 2 term, wewe ni 1 term. We have a country And even on the issue ile ambayo president aliraise juzi ya 2060, Vision 2060, we should not politicize that issue because our country will be there in 2060, whether tutakuwa 2 term, tutakuwa 1 term. In fact, all these people might not be there. Sisi kama vijana, we still need a country by 2060. So hata hiyo wito ya 12th of August, I'm calling upon Wakenya wote wakuje washirikiane na watupatie maoni yao na vile nchi inaweza ikaendeleshwa beyond 2060. And it is not about politics. Whether you support the government or not, inafaa wito yetu ni kwamba let us be patriotic.
All right, thank you so much, Mike Chalo and the people of Nakuru for giving us your feedback, and we'll continue receiving more feedback as we continue with this countdown, ballot countdown. 365 days to the next election. You're watching is live from TV 47 and Radio 47. Now, there's one question I want us to address, and probably this is where the rubber meets the road. Why are we having elections? And what are we talking about when we're having elections? What is a narrative? What is a discourse? What is our level of discourse? I'll start with you, Bwana Osido, because you talked about the lack of ideology. You talked about how the last election was about Mama Mboga, the hustler. But this time around, with 1 year to the next election, that kind of discussion or that level of discourse is not there. It is 1 term, 2 term, and you've heard everyone repeat that. Now there's introduction of a possible national conversation in the next 2 days about Vision 2060. And one wonders, will that be the narrative? What narrative are we carrying 1 year to the next election?
Very good question, Fred. And the narrative of 2027, in my view and based on what I have seen happening in the country, is going to be people-driven, people-centered. And I believe that Olkalau by-election gave us a clear scenario of what to expect for 2027. This is going to be an election where the citizens are going to ask you, what have you done with the power that we surrendered to you? Article 1.1 of the Constitution that I have in my hands here is very clear that this power that you are seemingly running around with is actually just surrendered to you, and it can be taken back to the people. The narrative of 2027 is not going to matter whether 1 term or 2 term. In my view, and based on what I've seen people saying, is going to be centered on what have you done. You said you're going to put up a bridge. Can you go and stand beside that bridge? You said you're going to put up drugs, medicine in our health facilities. Did we have those consumables in our health facilities? That is going to be the conversation. Look at what happened in Olkalau. And even if you were to move to other different regions, the conversation that is happening is whether it's 1 term or 2 term, we have some very strong parties that are now totally broken down. We have the Lindas of this world, we have the Lindas of the other side of the story. It will move beyond that. It will not matter what Linda you stand on. It is going to be about what have you done for the term that we gave to you. You said you're going to give us money. You're going to provide economic spaces, employment spaces for young people. Did you actually ensure that the environment surrendered and made that possible for these young people? And that is why I believe with I believe with my brother Hussein on what he says about voter disenfranchisement of the youth. If we do not focus on what really matters to young people, my dear friend, whether you are 1 term or 2 term, it is not going to them. It's not going to matter. And the converse of it is that if we do not relate it to what matters to them, they are going to sleep. At a meeting this morning, and where we actually even had the IEBC acting CEO, we were asking ourselves, so all these numbers about the youth, are they really going to show up, and cast their ballots? Because we have seen the kind of histories. In 2022, almost half of the people who registered for that particular election, 8.4 million people, they were young people, they were youth under 35. The president was declared as president with a mere 7.2 million votes, which means that if the young people woke up and had their own presidential candidate, they would carry the day in that election.
Yet the conversation, and I'd like to direct this to Jerusa because you're in charge of cohesion. The conversation at the political party level And when our RPP has just told us how important the political parties are in this conversation and even driving the narrative. We've seen organization of political parties purely on tribal basis or regional basis. And one wonders, we may have Gen Zs who are saying they're tribeless, but the political parties that are driving this conversation are doing it based on regions and tribe. Are we immune from that being the narrative this final year?
Thank you very much. Let me begin by saying that Kenya is a democratic country. We have a very good constitution that came into place in 2010. And one thing that is protected in our constitution is the democratic right to choose a political party, to choose where you want to belong, to choose how you want to vote, to associate freely. And those guarantees are under Article 4, or rather Chapter 4 of our Bill of Rights of the Constitution. They are guaranteed. So I think at the end of it all, it's about choices, and those choices are protected. So that if it's a political party, when ORPP who is here, when they register a political party, I am sure, and I know by law, they do not register a political party based on region. In fact, it is a requirement that the officials and the representation should actually show diversity. They cannot register a political party if all the people come from one ethnic tribe. There are some balances that are provided for under the law and under the Political Parties Act, which must be met. So I think the narrative, probably people give the narrative because of the person who is leading the political party, but in reality, that is not the case. Mm-hmm. But it is very unfortunate that in our country and in our society, we have really made ethnicity very superior. So that we talk about regions, we talk about where this person comes from. And this is, it is not provided in the law. If people were to just act and do things as provided by the law and the Constitution, this narrative would not be here. And that is why us as NCIC, our main role is to ensure that we foster cohesion and integration. And we are doing this through the 5 key strategic pillars that we have identified under our roadmap. And I already spoke about the first pillar, which was trust building. The second pillar is responsible leadership, whereby we are trying to bring all these actors together, the political actors. We're organizing something we are calling an Amani conference, and we are hoping that we can be able to invite as many stakeholders as possible. Amani conference is supposed to bring together political leaders across all divides, both those who term themselves as government, those who term themselves as opposition, and bring them to a room so that we can all discuss on how do we want our country to look like. You know, we must be patriotic. You cannot be a leader if you're not patriotic. You must love our country. And so we want us to get into a room, speak and sign a peace and accountability charter for the politicians, how they engage, how they talk to the people, what they can speak when they're in their rallies, what they cannot speak, how they can engage if there is an audience with children, and what they cannot speak about. So that is something that we are doing. The third pillar that we are looking at is youth engagement, which I've already spoken about, because youth are very critical. The fourth one is digital hygiene. And I think the gentleman here spoke about it, because social media and digital space largely is becoming one of the biggest areas where polarization takes place, where incitement takes place, where hate speech takes place. And this young lady had asked about, what about from youth to youth? What about from Kenyan to Kenyan? What about hate speech that does not come from politician, or rather comes within the circles where people are interacting? And so we are trying to preach digital hygiene. And first, we are monitoring. Monitoring the systems, but also we are trying to practice prevention and education, whereby we are engaging these people and mediating so that people can act responsibly. Digital media is one space that it's a good place for Kenyans. We use social media and we use digital media for most things. Right now, I'm sure you're streaming your channel on YouTube and all these social media platforms, because it's a beautiful space. It's a space, if we use responsibly, we can be able to drive change. If all youth actually came together and decided that we are going to have peaceful engagement, we are going to talk, we are going to see what we post, think before you post hashtags for peace ambassadors, hashtag for promoting peace, then we can have a good country. The same digital space can be used again to cause chaos. So we are actually trying to engage the youth and the users of social media, basically, for that. Allow me to just say the
very briefly, because we need to go on a break.
Yes. The last part, which is basically conflict prevention. So this conflict prevention is the same issue, where we are saying, for us, we want early warning systems. We want to ensure that we do not come into place when things actually go wrong. For us, it's to ensure that we do everything that we can in terms of stakeholder engagement and capacity building to ensure that we have Kenyans who understand that peace is everything. Thank you.
Yes, and indeed, as you said, you rightly put it, we are streaming live on YouTube at TV47 Kenya. We're also live on Radio 47 and TV47 on terrestrial signal as well. The question is, and this is what we want to ask young Kenyans, what is this that will make you make a decision? What is this that will influence the decision you make come next year? Is it one term? Is it two term? Is it national dialogue? What exactly is it? As you give that a thought, let's take a break. You're watching Ballot Countdown.
While teaching an oral healthcare class, I saw a little boy who kept covering his mouth. It turns out he had lost some of his teeth and felt embarrassed. But as a hygienist, a child's smile means everything to me. That's why Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection unlocks 24-hour cavity defense, a formula boosted with calcium for lifelong smiles. Every child has the right to smile, and a beautiful smile is a healthy smile.
Colgate, #1 oral care brand in the world.
Yummy na flow kama maji juu ni tamu kama sali ni juicy. Are you bored? Kuna vitu zinakuudhi usijali my bro, hebu kama taka juicy juni.
We love to share our cultures, and the one thing that unites us all, that celebrates precious moments, nurtures our Kenyan spirit, welcomes, and even inspires. Our language does all of this and more. The more the milk, the better the chai. Chai Kweli in a Brookside Dairy Best.
There are stories that make the heart race. Where love is born in the most dangerous moments.
Ali was actually Poyraz Ali.
Each secret can destroy everything. Love, passion, power, lies.
It's not the first time you let me down. It was my mistake for trusting an idiot like you.
The dramas that make you feel everything. Catch the sizzling episodes of Sins and Roses at 4 p.m, Domenica Monteiro at 5 p.m, Be My Sunshine at 6 p.m, and Avenida Brazil at 7 p.m, Central African Time. Only on Novelas Plus.
I'm cooking pancakes. I love mandazi. Bread is my favorite. Donuts, mwah.
Kibanda nyumbani anywhere.
Nurturing the world, one bite at a time. Yay!
All right. right, welcome back. And this is the final stretch of the very first edition of Ballot Countdown. 365 days to the next general election, and we are streaming live on YouTube. We're also live on Radio 47 as well as TV 47. Now, the one question we are asking right now before we end the show is, what will influence your decision come 2027? What exactly are you going to the ballot to do? Over to you, Martin.
All right, thank you very much, Fred. Hapa hata kabla mikono tayari iko. People have answers already, even before they listen to the question. But I think probably because we need to do this as fast as possible, short responses, and the question is, what is going to influence your decision come 2027? All right? Probably let me start. Niliambiwa agenda, si ndio? Haya, wacha nianzie hapa.
I think it's important that my apologies. Martha Nyamo, Kiambu County Civil Society. I think it's important that we also address the elephant in the room. We're not talking about review of boundaries, which IBC is supposed to be doing. And those are important conversations because boundaries are determining access to resources and development for citizens. When you look at Article 174 of the Constitution that recognizes citizens to manage their own resources, but also to have proximity to these services. And I think that's why the 2027 elections is very heightened, because it's about resources. You're looking at constituencies like in Kiambu, Roiro is our biggest in terms of population at 347,000 that only has one MP. Okay. And so for me, the elections next year should be about representation and not competition. When you look at Article 1 of the Constitution, it talks about, it recognizes that we have sovereign power and we can exercise this directly or through our democratically elected representative, not leader. And those are the conversations I think we need to continue to have. That who are we donating our sovereign power to represent us, to speak on our behalf, that when they speak our voice, but also that they're representing us to have access to those resources. Thank you.
For that.
All right, ametukumbusha, the people may, optional, the people shall, mandatory. Haya.
Thank you very much. My name is Floyd Ouma Okelo, student of law and also the Secretary General of the Media Lawyers Association of Kenya. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I have a question to ask to our register of political parties. The same question asked by my brother Osim. Why do we have 98 political parties in Kenya? Like 98 political parties. Then all these people, when it comes to maybe next year, towards the finish line of the election period, they come together now and claim we have now similar ideology. Why can't you have the same ideology from the beginning and have two political parties? Why are we having 98 political parties? Then these 98 political parties bring us problems. Because devolution, which is one of the strongest principles that we have in our Constitution of Kenya, we end up having problems at the point of devolution. Because now, these political parties are there to capture power. And so, when they come in, you will hear them talking about different regions, how they amass wealth and things of the sort. Okay. So we will not really get help. Let the institutions of government practice what we call separation of powers. Charles Montesquieu talks about the separation of powers in his book, The Spirit of Laws. Let the institutions of government work independently, and in that sense, then we will have a proper country to run. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey. Haya, maswali zimerudi.
Brief.
Nani ako na swali? Nani ako na swali? Kwa hivyo kama umeinua mkono sikupei microphone. Juu uko na swali. Si ndio? We just want brief comments tafadhali and a response to the question, okay? A lady first.
Okay, good evening. I'm Brittany from Ruiru constituency, a youth leader there. And specifically, I'm from Githurai. You've asked about what will influence me to take part in the elections. Number one, I'm from Githurai, and we were some time back assumed to be the area from which goons come from. And goons are not our parents. We are the ones being referred to as goons. And as you have said, the representatives we elect are the ones who are going to make sure that our rights are respected. Again, whatever will influence me is that I don't have to die to get justice. we are dying to get justice, and that's not should be the case. And to our human rights, as I see it, my question is, Kenya is a country governed by law, and no one is above the law. And I think the one who should be above the law is anyone fighting for human rights. If it's about the police and security officials, then you should be there to tell them, no, that's not the way it should be. They don't have to harass us so that we can point them out they are not doing the right thing. So it's upon you, you work on that so that we can enjoy our country. Our country, we have rights to expression, freedom of expression, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Quickly. Hey, sawa tu.
Thank you so much. My name is Baraza Bethel, the pragmatism of magnanimity.
Yeah, go on.
I'm the chairperson of the Kajiado Young Visionaries Association. I'm also the incoming president, Multimedia University. And when first I look onto that screen, I see IEBC, and I'm very disappointed that they're not here. Number two, there's this thing that is being called one term and two term. It is an insult to the people of Kenya. Why? We are glorifying one person. If you say one term, you're talking about President Ruto. If you say two term, you're talking about President Ruto. Why aren't we not talking about education? The government is owning private universities at least, and not at least, at most, 58 billion Kenyan shillings, and starting with Technical University of Kenya, going to Catholic University of Eastern Africa, then lastly by KCA. Now, look at me today. I want to be a leader in this country. Do you want to tell me we are going to 2027 voting for one term? Is that really an ideology that we need to have as a nation? Why isn't NCIC not calling these leaders and telling them, as from today, and I'm ready to assist you tomorrow, to call these leaders, to tell them, kindly, end of one term, end of two term.
We talk about
Give
education.
us ideologies.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right.
Just a question. What is going to influence your decision on 10th of August 2028? Please, because we need those gentlemen behind there to say something as well, very briefly.
Okay, thank you. My name is Lilian Awar. I'm from Busia, and the founder of EcoSpark Youth Nexus is a youth-led organization. I want to talk about devolution, and what is going to influence me to vote is, I'm urging you guys to vote for a person and not a party. You've really supported parties, and you say that ingome ni ya chama fulani, and there is no development. So I vote up for a party, and that party is not yours. Like Busia, Busia is rated among the top 10 poorest county in the country, and also the leaders, the governor is supporting us in chanting one term, and little do he know that he is also among the one-term people. So come 2027, usikwe mjinga, because of njaa, you vote for that person, just be sharp. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
We're only two more because our time is up.
Thank you. Thank you. I am Bernard Maluki or Gush. I am the community manager of Dandora Hip Hop City. So my question goes to the guy of AI. So
we said there are no more questions.
Okay, no more question. So mine is, what will make me? I will vote not according, maybe you have given me something, or I will I will follow. I will look for the track record of what these leaders has done over the years, the benefits, the challenges. Then that itasaidia me ku make my proper decision, not because nimekuwa bribe ama nimekuwa influence na mzazi ama an elder. No, decision itakuwa mine.
Just one more, last one. We need to take a link from elsewhere.
Jumbo, everyone.
I'll be short as a miniskirt, but long enough to cover the content. For me, I would vote a leader. Just like he said, track record is very, very much important. I'll not take a leader who chants one term, then they tell you, say no to devolution, say no to progress, whereas, for example, let me take a track of the Mau Rironi Summit Road. It is something that will be a relief to the Mamamboga, to that youth who works there, and the country at large. But somebody who tells you to chant one term will be flying around with private jets, whereas sisi kama wananchi tunalala kwa barabara and they don't care. Right now, somebody tells you these projects are shiny, but he lands in the shiny project with a private jet. So mimi kama a youth mwenye sina mboka, why would I go for this somebody who is not even catering for my own needs? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
All right.
All right, and we'll see if we get enough time at the end, because right now we have to get a link from an update from Alfayo Kombo, reporter in Kisio Nyamira. Where is you coming from tonight? Where are you coming from tonight, Alfayo? Over to you.
Thank you very much, friend Inimuli. With me here, I am in Kisii town, whereby I have various residents ready to give their sentiments on how prepared they are to the 2027 general election. Remember that it is exactly now 1 year to the general election, and they'll be giving us their sentiments on how prepared are they, and what are they expecting, and what are some of the questions that they have to different entities, the NCIC, IBC, security stakeholders, and even the activists. With me here, I'm going to have the first residents of Kisii County. Maybe you tell us, what are your views and what are you going to look before you go to vote in 2027?
Okay, my name is Cliff Maranga. I'm a resident of Kisii County. There is a lot that we are going to expect from our leaders, but the most important is that if you do not have a track record of using our resources well and doing development that is tangible, you can be sure that you are not going to go back to that seat, or we will not be able to elect you. There are several entities that are going to be in charge of this election, and we want each and every entity to do their mandate. Like now, if I ask NCIC, they have not shown any faith at all on if they know what they are supposed to do. We have seen leaders talk carelessly, speak things that do not really bring Kenyans together, and the NCIC is not doing anything at all, especially when the leaders that are speaking these kind of things are from the government.
Very much. Maybe you get another Kenyan. What are you going to look at before you vote 2027?
Kwa majina ni Nyakundi Mukisi. Mimi ninapoelekea uchaguzi unaokuja mwaka 2027, sitaangalia sana ahadi za viongozi wanaokuja kutuambia, kwa sababu tumepata ahadi mara mingi na asijatimizwa. Sasa mwenye atakuja na sera na aseme, kwa sababu kwa wenye wamepita tayari hawajatimiza, tutaangalia. Mimi mwenyewe nitaangalia kulingana vile utajieleza kwangu, nione kama kweli unafaa. Alafu ili uchaguzi kuwe kwa huru na haki, mimi nataka kuuliza vile vyombo vinasimamia kutoka IBC na NIC Human Rights. Kwanza niulize kwa Human Rights. Ni kama round hii wametulia sana. Siku hizi ni kama wamemeswa na saidi moja, kwa sababu sijaona round hii wakitetea sana. Swali langu ni je, wanaegemea upande fulani ama ni kazi imekuwa ngumu? Tumeona uchaguzi mdogo imefanyika Kenya hii, na tumeona watu wengi wakilalamika kwa sababu ya maguns. Saa nyingine unaona afisa wa askari wako na unapata watu wanatupa mawe na hawafanyi lolote. Tutahakikisha kwamba kutakuwa na usalama wakati tutapoongelea general election ya 2027, tujue kwamba ukweli uchaguzi unapokuja tutakuwa na uhuru wa kutokea na kwenda kupiga kura bila kutishwa mahali popote. Hiyo ndio swali langu.
Na asante sana. Pengine tuweze kumpata mzee atueleze wewe una yapi?
Kwa majina naitwa Bernard Obai, wa mkaaji wa Kisii. Kwa uchaguzi ambao unakuja, mimi nimejiandaa vilivyo. Hata nilienda nikaangalia ID yangu nikapata bado niko kwa list kwa Kenya ambao watakao piga kura. Sasa ningependa kuuliza IPC kwamba watatuhakikishia aje kwamba kura zenye tutapiga zitalindwa na matokeo ambao Wakenya watatoa yatapeperushwa moja kwa moja na yatakuwa kwa uhuru na haki. Kitu kingine, mambo na security. Watatuhakikishia aje kwamba haya matokeo yakitoka yatalindwa vizuri, ndio mwenye atashinda apewe haki yake. Wakenya tusonge mbele bila kurudi nyuma. Asante sana.
Naam, asante sana. Pendo, ukisonga mbele, tueleze wewe ukitazama runinga, utakuwa unaangalia nini kabla uchaguzi mwaka 2027?
Kwa majina naitwa Wilfred Umenga Mjira, mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa Kisika. Mimi naomba hivi kwa watu wa IPC, watu wahakikishe hii uchaguzi unayokuja uwe wa amani na uhuru na haki. Ndio wananchi wapepeshiwe matangazo kwa njia ile ambayo inafaa. Mwananchi alipike kwa kura, anaipika anaiona moja kwa moja kwa runinga, awe na free hiyo kura imepika imefanya nini, imetokea kwa ile njia ambayo inastahili kupigwa.
Hii uchaguzi yenye inakuja 2027, kitu ya kwanza vile nimeona serikali kama hamwezi kutuchunga saa hii, hatuwezi kuamini kwa uchaguzi mtaweza kutuchungia kura zetu. Ndio maana tumesimama na msimamo moja ya kusema ya kwamba tutachunga kura, maana hatuna watu wa kuchunga kama serikali tunaiogopa. Hiyo ndio kitu ningependa kuambia serikali ya kwamba tumeiogopa, maana hata ukiangalia maguni vile wanaumiza watu, hakuna serikali inachukua hatua yoyote.
Naam, asante sana. Friend Dimuli, kama umeweza kusikiza ndizo kauli za wakazi kutoka eneo la Busia. Sina la ziada ila kukomea hapo na kurejesha usukani kwako studioni, Fred Indimuli. Langu jina ni Kombo Alfayo kutoka kaunti ya Kisii.
Asante sana Alfayo Kombo kutoka Kisii, na pia watu wa Kisii kwa kutupa maoni yenu. Tumeyapokea. We're still here and I think we should continue getting the views of our viewers. Yes, Mato, endelea. Now you can get that whole group, yes. But the question remains, what will inform your decision in 2010? Because I want to gauge that, then we'll take a break and go for news and come back and take feedback from our panelists, because even they have something to say. Over to you.
All right,
Martin.
okay. Now, tafadhali, let's try and keep it short and sweet. Okay? Twende.
Thank you so much again. Okay, what will...
It's okay. We'll give you time.
What will influence me to take part to vote in 2027 is when the IT experts will ensure us to put in place safeguards that will ensure they will not compromise the will of a voter. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Consolata Waithera, mental health lead, psychologist. And mine is to help Kenyans, because I believe most of us Kenyans are bleeding. Most of us Kenyans are traumatized by the events that have been happening. As we approach 2027 elections, let us understand that democracy is not only about the ballot, it is also about the well-being of us Kenyans. And as we go to cast, let's also prepare that there will be winners, there will be losers. Let us choose dialogue over hostility, truth over misinformation, and let us choose us healing the traumas that we have endured, the losses we have encountered, the pains and the bleeding of many hearts in Kenya. So I'm preaching we heal, so that we don't go to the ballot with hatred. Let us preach peace over division. Let us participate with wisdom, emotional maturity, and let's remember it's about humanity. Elections comes, they go, but as humans we remain. And finally, because election is all about changing the government or retaining the government, let us not destroy lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is Charles Awithe, Bunge la Mwananchi, National Speaker. What will influence me to vote is bad governance and an encyclopedia of lies and endless promises. I want to comment on something that has really touched my heart today. During the day, in the morning, a lady came to me at Bunge la Mwananchi, Jivanji, and gave me her ID. She was really complaining that she went to her polling station at, we call it Kasarani, and she realized that her ID is double registered. Her name and another man's name. Same number, same ID number. Then another incident also on the same note, I realized that the new generation ID, youths, Gen Zs, be careful. All your IDs, if you find that the ID number is starting with 0, go to the IBC portal, you'll realize that you are not registered as a voter. All the ID numbers that are starting with 0, we proved today, they are not registered. If you go to the portal, you'll realize that you're not a registered voter, so you go and counter-check those things. Those are the things I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, these are claims that can be confirmed baadaye. All right, iwezi kwa nyinyi watu watatu, chagueni mmoja. Lazima ichukue mmoja, iwe mmoja. Nani? Wewe ama wewe? Harakisheni ama niende. Ama niende.
Yes, I'm Victor Otieno, an aspirant in Rangwe, Homa Bay County. The motivation is the mismanagement of our public resources. That's what motivates me to go and vote. The other thing that motivates me is that we people are the supreme. Power belongs to us. We are the bosses, not the politicians. So we can vote. I wanted to ask a question. I don't know if I'll be allowed. My question goes straight to the NCIC. Can I? Okay, thank you.
All right, asante kwa kutii. Aya. Okay, wacha nikuje generation basi kidogo hapa.
Thank you. My name is Pauline Wahu, a youth leader in Kiambu County and an activist. So the reason why I'm going to vote come 2027 is because my country is bleeding. We have a lot of evils going on in this nation, and number one is our economy, and that is why there are so many things like goonism. What else are we going to talk about? Goonism, poor, like people are abductions, vitu kama hizo, empty promises. Our economy is bad, and that is where tulitokea finance bill. So our leaders, we are going to look for your plan when it comes to our economy.
Thank you very much. I'll be quick. My name is Titus Mwangi, a student leader at the Technical University of Kenya and a resident of Ol Kalou constituency. And I was there when the by-election took place, and I can tell you the violence and the voter intimidation that happened in Ol Kalou. And this is a warning. It should be a warning to all institutions and agencies, especially the security agencies and everybody that is protecting and voting and protecting the vote, because these people or these police, we can't hatuwezi weka all the what protect kura zetu. It was evident in Ol Kalou constituency that the goons, when they were attacking the polling stations, the police didn't do anything. They didn't arrest the goons. They didn't took power to fire them. But the goons are firing the people. In fact, I'm sad to say that we lost 2 lives in Ol Kalou constituency at the by-elections, and many were injured. So, to the people of Kenya, let us encourage the government agencies by however way we can articulate the voices that they should be able to protect the lives of the people of Kenya.
Okay, all right.
Hello, my name is John, a co-founder of Champions of Change, GOtv. What will motivate me to vote come 2027 is that I want the change. And kitu naweza ambia mayouth ni kwamba usiangalie uangalie ati mwenye wezi chagua hapo ati ni Mjaluo ama Mkale. Hiyo kitu tuliletewa na wazazi. Sisi kama Gen Z, kitu sahihi tunachagua change. Na kitu ningependa kuambia pia Gen Zs, tusibleed ndio wa leader.
Thank you so much. You know, we are coming to take the table, and we have to occupy the space as you see right now. So what will influence me to take role on coming election 2027? One, it is my democratic right. And one thing, because we are actually listened globally, our country is not bleeding. This is our house, this is our country, and actually we are the people to unite and send leaders we want to have them to represent us. Because the fact is, we have a perception of actually rating our country in a wrong narrative that we are bleeding, we are doing wrong thing, we are the people selling fear to the global world, and we are the people tarnishing our name to be wrong. So one thing, I am going to participate in the coming election. One, as my democratic right. Another thing, it is also another process for me to bring accountability to someone that I've sent for them to represent me. If they have not delivered the message, it will be my right time for me to tell them, take a break, and I will take someone that I feel their view, their ideas, their agendas align to the objective of our country. So that is a statement that I want to make clear, and Kenya is doing great.
Without the microphone, we can't hear you, unfortunately. You have to have the microphone.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Jane Wanjiro from Kiambu. And one, I will vote because it's my civic responsibility. The Constitution has given me a mandate as a citizen of this country to go vote. The other thing, I will go vote because we need to fix the financial situation of this country. Because the previous governments have shown us, we behave as if we are in a Delulu country. And I'm sorry to say that. Because in a layman's language, tuko na budget ya bedsitter Githurai, lakini huwa tuna behave ni kama tunaishi 5-bedroom Kilimani. I think we need to change that. Look at the public debt. Our leaders speaking about the public debt. How are they going to sort this? Because it is a burden to us who have still some life to live on. I have like some other 40 years to live. Maybe ni God husema ni lini mpaka mtu ataishi. The people who are doing the borrowing won't be there to pay that money. It is us. Because we need to see that change, I will go vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Eddie, and I want to thank the TV47 for giving us this opportunity. We have so many reasons to vote, but me, I don't have to. My fellows have given reasons to vote. I have questions for all these people because we won't have any other opportunity with these people. So let me just ask the questions. My first question goes to the Registrar of Political Parties. As we are approaching the political parties, you are asking how ready are we and how ready are the political parties we belong in. Yet we are still hearing some political parties saying that they've not received their funding. My next question goes to my brother, Hussein. Previously, we've heard the president saying that Vocal, the group of activism, the activists, are being funded to fuel the kind of the protests we are having. What is Vocal Africa doing to ensure that they sit far away from such allegations? My question to my sister here. We've had border clashes and a lot of things happening. One of the jurisdiction of NCIC is to ensure that the public service, we are represented. We have 42 ethnic communities. If we look at the composition of very important cabinet and the PSS, we have some communities having more than 1/8 of the members, which your commission says that 1/8 should be the maximum. I have a question to the County Government Watch. When you look at the CECMs who are being nominated after the elections, they are youthful people. Yet here, I believe all of us here can serve as a position of a CECM. What are you doing? We have seen the governors in the CPAC. We have seen the kind of pending base the counties are having. What are you doing to ensure that as we are going to the next election, because these pending bills will go to the next governor. Yes, some governors are finishing their terms. My last question, my brother. We are
looking at opinion polls, which shapes the elections that we are coming with. These opinion polls are done online. What are we? We cannot run away from technology. How can these opinion polls be integrated that we can see a real opinion poll that represents what's on the ground? Thank you very much.
And those questions, I'll give you an opportunity to answer as you give your final comments.
So, my name is Dennis Mwangi. I'm a human rights defender from Vika. I represent the rural Vika, place known as Goliba. My comments on concerning election. I have already made a decision of who I want to vote for. Reason being, I voted and campaigned for some people, for a good number of people in 2022, and they have not delivered. So also, another my clarion call is, when growing up, I was proud of the name, like, I hope you get my comment logically. I was proud of the name like Hassan as a human rights defender. Today, when those kind of names, those people, whenever those people come, as human rights activists, whenever I see them in the news, I'm ashamed, you get, of what they're saying. So I'm asking every person here, will we leave the talk of what we are doing right now? Will we be proud, like 5 years, 10 years, that we sat in this forum, like TV 47 forum, dialoguing, and we will be living when our change, when we get this position, will we still hold the principles that we hold now? As I politically, I represent DCP Youth League Thika constituency.
Thank you very much. My name is Okeyo Rose. I'm a political scientist, I'm a policy analyst, and I'm also an NYC aspirant. So this is one thing that will make me vote in 2027. For me, it will be about competence, track record, and a credible policy agenda. I would really want to emphasize more on a credible policy agenda. When you come to me asking for my vote and telling me Ruto must go, but when I ask for your governance slogan, you're not able to tell me anything. When I ask you questions on your thoughts on security of this country, on foreign policy, on the economic situation of this country, and on development, you're not able to tell me. I would want you to tell me the problem that you're intending to solve, how you're going to solve it, and an evidence of how you're going to deliver. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Only one more, because we need to take an update from Murang'a now.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Yes, I am King Josh, the founder of the Paragons of Great #KJ Men's Movement, also a law student at the University of Nairobi. So thank you for this chance. So first of all, I would like to remind our officials or representatives of the various institutions that we have in the government that anything that we're speaking about right now is meant not to be met or to be dealt with come 10th August next year or a week before. We should have started by now. And the moment that we're asking questions, it's really brazen somehow, important at some point that the answers are not coming. There are no mechanisms at the moment. And that is why you're seeing everybody here is kind of angry when they're talking. Those from Kisii, you have seen how they're reacting to these issues. So let's ensure that the mechanisms are put in place so that next time when you come to such a show, you'll be able to tell us, we have done this and this. We want this to be done. How are you dealing with these goons that you're talking about? Some audacious but shameless leaders killing people at our eyesight, stealing votes when we are seeing. I want us to tell us, last week I spoke to one of the leaders that we're having in this nation, and this is what we agreed upon, right? We should be having such things happening all the time. So I'm very happy to be with you right tonight, and I hope these things are going to happen these 364 days remaining. Thank you.
All right.
All right, back to you, Fred.
Thank you so much, Martin. Yes, I know opinions are many, and I will continue. As we continue counting down, we have 365. Okay, fine. Now just remaining a few hours, we'll be saying 364 days. Yes, the countdown has already begun. Let's get an update before we wind down this show. From Murang'a, Robert Gekure is our reporter there. What do the people of Murang'a have to say about this discussion?
Shukran na nakupokea moja kwa moja kutoka hapa kaunti nambari 021 kaunti ya Murang'a, na hii leo ningependa kuweza kuwashirikisha wakazi wa kaunti hii ya Murang'a ili tuweze kujua matarajio yao ni yapi haswa wakati taifa linapojiandaa kuingia kwenye uchaguzi ama chaguzi kuu za mwaka wa 2027. Karibu sana katika runinga ya TV47. Tuanze kwa jina, ukitazama pale, tuambie matarajio yako kwenye uchaguzi za mwaka ujao ni yapi?
Kwa jina langu naitwa Joe Kanguchu. Mimi ndio katibu mtendaji wa chama inaitwa UPIA ama United Party of Independent Alliance. Hiyo ni chama ilikuwa ikiitwa zamani Sabasaba Asili, ile iliasilishwa na Kenneth Jido Matiba. Swali ile umeuliza majitayarisho, hiyo ni kitu gumu sana kujibu just like that. One thing that I can say, preparation for the coming election, first of all, depends by the Kenyans praying and going down to the knees. Number two, it is the Kenyans going in a united form, forgetting the parties they are affiliated with, forgetting the leadership they are working with. Because one of the main problems that we have got in Kenya is that we have got the major thing they like talking about is me and chest thumping. It is until we go back to the drawing board where Kenneth Stanley Jido Matiba started, whereby he said, our major fight for a new way to make Kenya a new country is by going to nothing else but just multi-party democracy governance. And I repeat, multi-party democracy governance, whereby you don't select one party or two parties, many parties working together as a team. Yes.
Asante sana. Tuweze kupata mkazi mwingine ili tupate hisia zake. Pengine wewe wakati wa chaguzi za mwaka ujao ni mambo yapi ambayo utakuwa unazingatia?
Kwa majina naitwa George Kadhuru. Mimi ni mkazi hapa Murang'a County, Murang'a Town. Na mimi nahofia sana wajibu wa IEBC na kutekeleza ama kuwajibika kwa kazi yake. Pia sana nahofia sana ile tukio tumekuwa tukiona kwenye nchi ya gunism na venye vitu zinafanyika hapa nchini. Na tunaona serikali ni kama inataka kulazimishia Wakenya serikali yenye watachagua mwaka wa 2027. Na mimi ningetaka tu kuuliza watu wa IEBC wawajibike. Wasiache hii nchi ichomeke. Wasiache hii nchi iende kwa mraba mbaya. Tunatarajia IEBC itawajibika na ifanye kazi yake vilivyo. Tunataka pia serikali ya Kenya iwache polisi wafanye kazi inavyotakikana na security, na tuache maneno ya gunism iishe kabisa. Waache kuuzia wananchi uoga, waache wananchi wachague Kenya wanataka. Asante.
Asante. Tumalizie na mkazi wa mwisho kwa kifupi kabisa. Tuanze na jina, matarajio yako ama ni kipi utakachokuwa unazingatia?
Naam, kwa majina naitwa Mburu Nguge, mkazi na mfanyi biashara hapa Murang'a. Mimi kitu ya kwanza ningetaka kusema kuhusu uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027 ni tunataka serikali izingatie mambo ambayo mwananchi wa kawaida anayaongelelea. Kwanza hii mambo ya gunism. Ukiangalia siasa venye zimekaa sasa, kuna vijana wengi ambao wameingia katika siasa. Ukiangalia watu kama Dede Nyoro, akina Sifuna, akina Medho. So tunasema ya kwamba kama kutakuwa na mpango ambayo itakuja kuhararisha hiyo uchaguzi ya mwaka 27, tutakuwa macho sana na hatutakubali mtu yeyote ambaye atakuja kufanya uchaguzi ifanyike kwa njia ya amani. So tuna alert IEBC wakuwe makini sana na wakuwe very careful kuhusu hiyo uchaguzi. Yes, naam.
Asante sana. Nikubalishe niweze kumalizia hapo, ni hisia za wakazi kuhusu matayarisho na mambo ambayo watakuwa wanaweza kuzingatia tunapojiandaa kwenye chaguzi za mwaka ujao wa 2027. Kutoka hapa kaunti nambari 021 kaunti ya Murang'a, kwako studio, jina langu ni Robert Gakure.
Thank you so much, Robert Gakure, our reporter in Murang'a County, bringing us up to speed with the feelings of people from that great county on what they're feeling about the preparations for the next year's general election. Ballot countdown. It has been a very rich conversation right here, just not from our audience alone, but even from our viewers out there. Now, I want to get the feelings of our panelists today on probably what we should look forward to. I know there are quite a number of questions you've been asked, and I hope you took note of them. As you make your final comment, kindly give us an answer to that. And for this, we will begin with, I want to begin on the other end, Robert Kanyoro Dhuku, who's an AI engineer, GOtv, and CEO Tukupe.
Thank you, sir. And to answer a question that was asked about opinion polls, is that there is an agency, and there is actually an act of parliament that controls opinion polls. So it is not within our jurisdiction to decide what those opinion polls are, because there are agencies that actually mandated to control that. If you want to be controlled by opinion polls to vote come next year, then that's a personal decision. Now, as an IT expert and at my level, there are things that I'll be looking at when voting next year. One is that I'll be looking at the mandate of government. What is the first mandate of government? The first mandate of government is security. So as a government that is going to provide me with security, that is going to be my priority, because by our constitution, that is the biggest mandate of a government. Number two, I'll be looking at the international policy. Many people don't look at this, but I think my mentality have shifted. Looking at how the world is run, I understand that a decision that is made in the US Parliament or in the European Union Parliament, and I'm actually so much interested with what is happening in terms of news in first world countries, and especially China. So I'll be looking at what is the policies, what policies does this government has, or whichever side of the government that want to join the government has in terms of international policy, because those policies are going to affect us. Policies on agriculture, policies on medicine, policies on security. We are talking about artificial intelligence. What is happening in European Union, and how are we adopting that in our country, and who has policies within our country? Finally, we must run away from non-ideological type of politics that has happened probably in 1997. In 2002, when we chose Mwai Kibaki, it was the issue of education. In 2000 and the last election, it was about the Hasura whatever narrative. So I'll be looking at, from a policy perspective, what are you providing? Right. I was part of the team that worked actually on the manifesto of the ruling party, but I don't know if we have been able to implement that manifesto, but I'll be looking at the manifesto of every party that is coming and to make a decision.
All right, thank you so much, Abuna Kanyoro.
Yeah, very great conversations this evening, Fred, and indeed, congratulations to Cape Media, TV 47, Radio 47, and your other channels. And if you listen to the conversations that have been happening, it is a clear indication that Kenyan citizens are awoke. They are aware about what is supposed to be done, by who, when, and even how it is supposed to be done. And therefore, there is no excuse whatsoever why the leadership should let down the people. And my call to citizens as we head towards the next election, as I said earlier on, is a track record. What have you done with the space that you have been given? If you cannot be able to stand aside, juxtapose yourself with what you have delivered to the people, honestly, you have no business being in that space. You have no business being their leader. You have no business being their representative, especially if you've been an MCA who has had no space, to make a proposal on whatever bills, whatever acts that have been passed by that assembly, the budget process happening, and you have nothing to say. You get to the National Assembly, you are a senator who has not defended your county. It is an insult, in my view, to the people who sent you to those spaces. So that is really a clear call for all the spaces. It might appear as though when we talk about one term, two term, it is just at the national level. This has to go to all the 6 positions that we are going to be voting for. And so if you can be very clear around looking at what have you delivered with what you've been given. As I finish, because again, there were lots of questions that we agonize that the IEBC is not here, but we hope that a space can be created in future for them to really engage with the citizens. My top 6 priority for the IEBC is, 1 is electoral violence and political polarization. We must deal with this. We cannot have a country where every electoral period we must lose lives. It is, 1 life is too much to lose for an election. Number 2 is, of course, public trust, and you can imagine the kind of conversations that are happening here. And this has to go beyond just the IEBC, including all the other Chapter 15 commissions, whether it's NCIC, whether it's the National Police Service, among all the others. The third thing is results management and transparency. What is the plan? That plan has to be very, very clear, that we have had discussions around whether it is going to be, rallying online, etc. The commission has to boost trust of the citizens so that the Kenyan waking up to go and vote is clear that, yes, my vote is going to count. And of course, all the other stakeholders, the judiciary, their preparedness to deal with petitions that might occur. And then finally, Fred, is on voter register and integrity. It is quite sad that the president of Bunge la Mwananchi has introduced himself, can make, summations around people who expect to go and vote and they are double registered.
Okay.
There are, of course, mechanisms to deal with that, but I believe that in terms of boosting the trust of the commission to the people, we must find a way of really dealing with some of these challenges.
Thank you for that. And I'll request, and it's a humble request, that the rest of the panelists just spend about a minute and a half because we are really out of time.
Thank you very much. So I think what I'll do is just give concluding remarks. But before I give them, let me just assure the audience here that NCSC is committed to ensure that we fulfill our mandate as provided for in our law, and that we are going to be neutral. We have been neutral. We are going to continue being neutral. We are going to be bipartisan. As NCIC, our biggest role is to ensure that we are cohesive as a country, and that is what we are going to do. So the issues that have been raised about our independence is strongly protected, and you will see this through, first of all, seeing that actions that are taken across board, so that there will be no incidences where actions are taken for one divide and the other divide is not taken action upon. So my appeal, let me say this, Kenya has conducted very many elections, and each election gives us an opportunity to be a stronger democracy. My appeal tonight is that we must compete properly as leaders. We must show directions to our young people who are before us today. We must criticize one another vigorously, of course, but let us make communication based on policy. This is something that has come out very strongly, and I support the young people because I have heard you ask the young people what is going to influence their vote in 2027. And what has come out strongly is that it's ideologies. And so let us compete on ideologies and not on chants and not on slogans. Number 3, citizens and the Kenyans, let me just finish quickly. Yes. Let us not surrender our friendship or our neighbors just because of an election. Elections come and go, but Kenya will remain. For us at NCIC, our commitment towards 2027 is to be more preventive, more responsive, and to work closely with our partner institutions so that hate speech, ethnic incitement, and political violence have consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Hussein.
Thank you, Fred. So a question was asked that sometimes it is presented to Kenyans that civil society are funded by foreigners and they have foreign interests at heart. And I think these are distractors, and you expect this anywhere you go. No one will like the work that you do every day. But one thing is for a fact. We did not kill Albert Ojwang in the police station and then release a statement saying he hit his head on the wall. Civil society didn't do that. Civil society didn't tell Masengeli to not appear in court after he's summoned 6-7 times. Civil society did not say corruption to continue in county governments. We did not say that. So those who are trying to, bring in other stories so that, we do not do our work, they will have to do much better than this. As civil society, we will continue to hold government and every other actor accountable, including political parties across the divide. We do not choose. Where there are problems, we will point them out. And we assure Kenyans that we will continue doing this work faithfully, and we will make sure that anyone and everyone who is holding a public office, they remain fully accountable to Kenyans because we pay taxes, and they're supposed to respond to the work that they're given to do for Kenyans.
Thank you, Zain. Very briefly, Bwana Changwoni.
Okay, thank you very much, Fred. I speak to my fellow voters that there are risks that will undermine our sovereign power to make informed choices. One is the risk of feel-good politics. And this is the politics of kingpin, where you think someone who is from your community is somewhere, then you align yourself to that particular person without necessarily knowing what is in that particular person. And we see this because they undermine separation of powers. Why should determination of who becomes the Speaker of the Senate or the National Assembly happen before an election? It is the work of the people that we elect there to go and choose who those become. Why should we feel good that so-and-so will become the Speaker of the Senate under prior arrangements before the elections? Then lastly is also be very careful with the projects. People who are sponsored by particular people to be your MCAs, to be nominated persons representing the youth or persons with disability. Safeguard those. That's your democratic right. And as I conclude, our politics really suffer from what's called the highest bidder takes it all. And the gentleman from Olkalau, I think there's a lot of lessons to learn from Olkalau. With those shoes, baskets, mattresses, and all that, and then and the percentage of the givers of all those goodies did not even get a good percentage. And I think also even the voter turnout of Olkalau is a great lesson for this particular country. And I think, Registrar, Olkalau also presents one of the highest by-elections of voter turnout that we've had in this country.
All right.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Sana. Bwana ORPP, finalize for us.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe just a quick response to two questions. One is about the 98 parties, and then the other one is about funding. First, the 98 parties is a product of Article 38, which is our constitution giving a political right for every Kenyan to form and participate in political parties formation. There is no capping on how many parties we can have. So the registrar cannot determine that now they're enough until our constitution then envisages that and makes those changes. Not all political parties are funded. The criteria for funding political parties comes after elections are done, and they are determined based on how many of them get elected members of parliament or county assemblies. So, and as far as funding is concerned, that happens every quarter. And as far as I'm concerned, they are all up to date. No political party has any data as far as my office is concerned. Allow me to say this, that I think as we talk about all this, I want us to understand that we can wish all away, but most of the things that happen in this country, we have allowed all our conversations and our decisions to be driven by political narratives. And the politicians drive those narratives. Okay. And for me, accountability is only as good as the information that people have to hold that person accountable. You cannot hold anybody accountable beyond the information that you have. And as a registrar, I think one of the things that I think is very important is to expand our political education to the public. What do the public know about political parties? What do the public know about politicians? What is it that they need to ask when politicians go to present themselves? Okay. Because unless we expand the base of accountability, these institutions we talk about may not in themselves be able to hold all these politicians accountable conclusively. And so I think that expansion is important. And so as an office, we are focusing on expanding political education. As a matter of fact, one of the things we have done in our review of the reforms is to look for how we can publicize political party agreements so that there is no secret in what people have agreed to do after election or before election, so that then the public is aware of that. The second thing is we are also trying to strengthen the ability of political parties to solve their own problems internally. One of the problems we have in this country is that when a political party explodes it explodes to other political parties and creates a big problem. So if they can be able to settle in within themselves, it will minimize a lot of problems for the rest of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bwana John C. Lolioron, Co-Registrar of Political Parties. Asante sana, Joshua Changoni, Executive Director, CRECO, Kenya, ELOG Steering Committee Member, Hussein Khalid, CEO of Vocal Africa, Jerusa Mwatime, Commissioner, NCIC, Kevin Osido, Governor Specialist and Executive Director, County Governance Watch, and Robert Kanyoro Thuku, AI Engineer from JKUAT, and also CEO Tukupe, our panelists this evening. And thank you so much for your time. And I'll ask our audience to really give them a round of applause, tafadhali. Asanteni sana. Also, thank you so much to our audience here in studio for your time and for being patient and for the questions and contributions that you've made to this discussion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Ballot Countdown, our very first edition of 365 days to the next election. We broadcast this live on Radio 47, on TV 47, and in our digital spaces as well. This is just the beginning of a conversation. The countdown begins, and on behalf of the entire team behind this broadcast, including my colleagues who've been on air, Lisa Mutuku, Martin Gudenji, my name is Freddy Ndimuli, not forgetting all the reporters we had throughout the counties. Asanteni sana. And now, my director, Emmanuel Inonda, has done an incredible job. Also, thank you to the entire team. Anyone that I've forgotten, asante sana. I now want to hand you over back to studio for the day's news with Peter Kamau. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Fred Idimuli, for that handover. The town hall may have wrapped up, but the conversation continues. We'll now take a short break, but when we come back, we bring you up to speed with the bulletin. Stay with us.
Right, listen up. Colgate is on a mission.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
Colgate Charcoal Gentle Clean cleans and polishes teeth for a whiter smile and a naturally fresh and clean mouth. Choose natural. Choose Colgate Charcoal.
Kote nchini mbele tuendelee, mbele Kenya twende mbele,
Kenya twende mbele. NCBA. Go for it.
I'm cooking pancakes. I love mandazi. Bread is my favorite. Donuts, mwah.
Kibanda na nyumbani anywhere. Hey! Tunalea, lea na lea premium. Tunapika, pika na lea premium. Tunashiba, shiba na lea premium. Unga clean, unga fine, very nice. Hey! Anywhere, anytime, enjoy Lea premium.
Lea Premium, nurturing the world, one bite at a time. Yay!
There are stories that make the heart race. Where love is born in the most dangerous moments.
Ali was actually Poyraz Ali.
Each secret can destroy everything. Love. Passion. Power. Lies.
It's not the first time you let me down. It was my mistake for trusting an idiot like you.
The dramas that make you feel everything. Catch the sizzling episodes of Sins and Roses at 4 p.m, Domenica Monteiro at 5 p.m, Be My Sunshine at 6 p.m, and Avenida Brazil at 7 p.m. Central African Time. Only on Novelas Plus.
A very good evening to you and welcome to TV 47 Prime. Now, the political conversation has been taking center stage tonight as Kenya marks 1 year to the 2027 general election. But for now, let's take you through other